finally down Nvidia. Now we're red, but also now we're looking for Sharif at the green screen. See you guys tomorrow. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. We got my pal Sharif over there.
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you get to decide what we talk about every day. Sean's on vacation, but we got Obi, we got Neil. They're ready to look at the names as decided by you. So make sure to join Adira and I on the How to Trade Midday Show and get into that chat and vote for the names every day, and we'll cover them right at this 2 o'clock hour. There we go. The Q's definitely off the highs. We're at almost 18.6 on the NQ September contract now. We're really breaching that 18.2 on the way down. We're about a quarter point now negative after being positive the most of the day. We'll see the weakness on the Mag 7 name, save and accept for Apple. Palantir, the #1 name as decided by you. Great earnings report for them today. They got back into that $27, $28 area. We've been all watching for that $30 area breach, which has been elusive so far. Definitely well off the highs, but still, guys, up 2% on the day.
Oh my goodness, Palantir.
Oh my God.
Okay, so, and we're going to get to Upstart's not there. We had some stuff we'll talk about Upstart obviously at some point here.
Yeah.
But as for Palantir, didn't exactly time that one right. So Palantir, for two reasons, I'd say it bamboozled me. And the first one was when you had that news, it was an earnings continuation play. And then you had the Wendy's news, I think it was, like it just didn't do anything on that Wendy's news pre-market. And all of a sudden at the open, here, I'm going to go to 15-minute chart because I feel like that's not, there you go. This is going to show up much more clean. Let me get rid of that line there. A little bit more clean here. Nothing happening in pre-market on the Wendy's news. Was looking for the continuation play. We had the earnings, a dip and rip. That was pretty good, but failed at 27.40. I kind of felt other things were going to be better than Palantir. Right at the open, it runs the top, pulls right back into support at 27, and then runs the top again, and then it just starts going and going. Well, I just got trailed out of ARM. We'll get to the chips in a second, but ARM, I was just short ARM in front of like 109, and it just trailed back through 107.5. So it looks like maybe we're catching a bounce somewhere. But Palantir did not get that dip and rip, did not get that breakout. Then it did that crest off 28. I decided to take the scalp trade 28 to 28.10. And reversed into this short-lived and tried to go mean reversion way too early. It made a couple of highs in here, but look what happens when it eventually breaks 28. And I'll get to Intel later because Intel was a good stock, but man, Intel should have been the best stock today. 28 finally breaks. Look how clean it is when it fails. Unbelievable. It tries to retest, goes exactly to $28 even, and now flushes to 27. There's a difference between the front end of a short and the back end of a short. Like whether you have it here, just somewhere else. But if you like the 28 level, this is when you need to have it like there, or breaking VWAP into the downside. This is why I bring it up, because I was thinking trend reverse, quick snap into VWAP, and did not give this one enough room, I think, on Palantir. And just because I did get out of it, I'll go to ARM right now because I was in the trade. It just trailed back out. So I shorted ARM a couple times, flat bottom breakdown, then let it come into resistance, scalped a little bit, and then it just took out, it bounced off 107 and took out 107.5. So that's me getting out of ARM. Still like this one to the sell side. ARM down 5% today. Who knew?
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Like this right here, Neil. We talk about reversion. That is a beautiful backside. Oh my God.
It is
Day
tasty.
2 earnings, strength off of the open, consolidates what? For over an hour and a half, right? And then you make a base, and then you get crushed. Market tailwind for that confluence as well. We're about to come into day opening range low here on Palantir, pretty much wiping the whole move on the day. 2680s we're trading at 27s, only about a few pennies away from there. Oh boy, that is beautiful.
You really sink your teeth into that kind of.
Oh,
What?
The playbook play.
It's an absolute playbook play.
No regrets, a little bit of FOMO, but you know what? We missed the trade, that's okay. There's a lot of backside going on in the market right now, so, you know, what's the next trade is what I'm asking, but that is a beautiful chart, for sure.
I can't hang with all these innuendos, man. I mean, like, this is great. Fantastic, fantastic. Tesla, next on the list, 3.25 in the red. No headline today for Tesla, but there was this one yesterday recalling about 1.8 million vehicles in China. Specifically, it's about to do with that front trunk or the frunk, whatever they call it, coming detached while driving. It's an over-the-air software update, not expected to cost a whole lot, but sending this bad boy down 3.25.
It's unbelievable that Tesla is an inside day right now. The market's bleeding, and this is technically and still an inside day, at least for now. But I mean, obviously, a lot can change. So remember this morning, there were 2 breakout plays that I listed on Big Cap Tech that kind of weren't on our rundown. One of them was, hey, look at this triple top with higher lows into it on Tesla 204 breakout. Thank goodness that never set up, because if I had taken that break, suffice to say it wouldn't have worked. It's not really rocket science. And the other one was Apple 210, like the one that I didn't actually sit around waiting with an order on was Apple. And of course, Apple went. So right here, you've got this, I guess, the Alamo for this afternoon, like 192.70. This is yesterday's low. It was a consolidation in the morning off of that level as well. I'm going to try to hold it together because Obi keeps cracking up over there. But yeah, if we do not hold this, we're in some serious trouble. And I see you, okay? Kazro, I see you. It's only Wednesday. We could lose 190 today, and we still have a couple of days to get to 174. It's still on my iPad, no questions about it. And you're gonna get the bang, you're gonna get the congratulations, or whichever thing on the stream deck is actually working for me in that moment. All I have to, and as far as I'm concerned, if we break 175, Kazro, in our chat, that's good enough, man. If I see a 74 handle on it, it doesn't actually have to get to 74 even. So I'd be cheering for your shorts if I didn't own my long term, but I wish I had found a short in this stock today. There were a bunch of things to go short on, and we didn't. We'll answer the question about this after the rundown. Though, if you've been watching the show long enough, i.e. if you were watching yesterday, then you should know exactly what. Well, we said what was coming. I mean, yesterday we said what it kind of had arrived and we had to go pick up. So you guys know what that is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tesla off the open, wicking that pre-market high. Not only pre-market high, prior day's high as well. Flushes down. VWAP cannot get back through VWAP. Now, a little distinctly different from the action that we've been having over the past couple of days, holding above VWAP, sells off of VWAP, reclaims, holds, pushes up. Right off of the open, you cannot hold VWAP. On the retest, you cannot hold VWAP. And then we're pulling back in. 200, failure to follow through. Confluence with a little bit of VWAP rejection there as well. Coming in and around that midday, and again, you have that market tailwind as well, giving you that flush coming in to that 193.50. Something I do want to note is that Nvidia is almost at 100 right now, so I got eyes on Nvidia, only about 80 pennies away from that 100 as the market tanks to the downside. So does that 100 confluence with that 18 thou? Let's wait and see. That's what I got on watch right now.
Yeah, from Nvidia to Intel kind of in the same sell-off pattern. You can see it's at lows. It was zigging and zagging with 20. That was an interesting level for me because I was kind of looking at 20 possibly as the same thing that we were doing on 30 on Intel before that big earnings miss. Yeah, nothing new with Intel today. It's the same thing that was a holdover from last week from that disappointing earnings release. Look, they're going to cut about $10 billion worth of costs, and that's going to include about 15% of their workforce that they're going to have to sadly lay off. They're also going to suspend, not cancel, but suspend the dividend. We saw that with Micron, suspending it back in 2020, reinstituting it today, guys.
Things first, shout out to you, Mr. Westermeyer. Thank you for the super chat. Super chat from one of our longtime viewers, Bring Sally Up. And the congrats isn't to me. You're saying I earned it, but it's all you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sending it. What this is. And if you're just tuning in, we like to have fun on the show. A lot of our viewers, you jump in the chat, and you have to be a subscriber to be in the chat. We interact all the time. And Mr. Westermeyer came and visited us actually here in Toronto. We went out for some drinks, and then I don't remember why we did this, but if I did the Bring Sally Up challenge, he'd send us a new 8-ball. So I did that live on the show. I didn't make it through the entire song, but I did go until I fell flat on my face to failure. That's the way I look at it. If I'm doing something, I'm going all out. I don't care if I'm on camera, and it was probably a little bit embarrassing that I fell on that because it's really dirty by the green screen, but that's what it's all about. So we'll unveil that. However, I will say this. With regards to Intel, which we're talking about right now, this is the worst possible green day that I could have in the last month. And the entire reason for that is it's all because of Intel. Like, forget about every other trade. I forget about the fact that exactly at the moment that I got out of SMCI was a perfect short. But Intel, I stand by the reason for getting in at the quarters and taking the point and getting out at the 20 level. In that moment, it made sense at that 20. But then look what happens, and I'm going to zoom way in so you can see what happens when it gets through 20. So this is it bouncing off 20. This is what happens when it loses $20. And this is it's a 1 minute chart. I'm going to go to the 3 minute. I usually use a 3 minute chart. I'll go back to that in a second because I wanted you to see here. This is 1 wick, 2 wicks, 3 wicks, 4 underneath, and then 5. So for 5 minutes, it sits right there with $20 on the offer after losing support for 5 minutes, and then it breaks down. It then retests 19.99 a couple minutes after that, and then flushes. And what you will see are an absence of shorts by me. I did go over to ARM when I missed out on Intel, and ARM's now a decent stock for me. But there's just no way I should be up more short ARM in like 2 trades than on Intel, which gave you everything you needed for the reload. It's just been a short till it's not. And I don't know the answer to when it isn't, but it's not today. That's it. Yeah.
We talk about that bigger picture trend, that trend move right here. Intel's already been getting sold off since those highs and accelerating even further off of their earnings, and now we're cracking this little bit of a consolidation on earnings day 2, day 3, with lows at 19.17. We're only about 20 pennies away from there. But yeah, Neil's absolutely correct. This ticker, again, I've been short this ticker multiple times over the past couple of weeks, and yeah, days like today, I'm just like, yeah, why am I still not kind of indulging in this idea where bigger picture it is coming in? And you're getting a strong market tailwind. Nvidia a quarter away from that 100 as of right now.
It's going to break.
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that break here. Next, Disney. Bad lit day today for Disney. They obviously reported this morning, initially popped up, market received it well, earnings were good, revenue was good, but then this headline came in. They may actually have to pay another $5 billion for that Hulu stake, and that was not met well by investors. Guys, we are down almost 3.5%, but a little bit off the lows.
Okay, Nvidia is right at 106 cents. I know we're supposed to be talking about, okay, let's get to Disney in a second, everybody. I don't mind. Disney's not really doing much of anything, but let's see what happens at that $100 level on Nvidia. The thing about it, and Obi just mentioned, I just heard Obi say this, we're at 18,000 on the NASDAQ.
Yeah.
So if you were to bounce,
7,000 lots?
How much was there?
7,000 to 8,000 lots, is that right?
I saw it for like a split second on Nvidia on the bid. Let's go in the other way. I saw it for like a split second on Nvidia. What are we seeing down there? I have to keep
chunk of
scrolling.
change.
It's a lot.
A nice chunk of change.
$1 million. Call it $1 million on the bid. Something like that. It's done 250 million shares. However, it might have been $1 million on that bid. But if it wants to go through, it's done. Like I said, it's done 250 million shares. Nvidia. 250 million shares. It's 215. Okay. So it doesn't care about 1 million shares on this bid. It'll chew through that like a hot knife through butter, or like any reasonable pass rusher through the Cowboys offensive line. It doesn't really matter. It's chewing right through it. I'm just saying. So I know what you're thinking, and I'm probably thinking the same thing. Because we're at 18,000, I'm talking about Obi. If it breaks this, the short might not be if it breaks right away, because it might do a little bit of a rinse because we're at support on the futures, and then it would be either a fade off of maybe 101, 102 on the way back after it stops everybody out, or a reclaim of the 100 is the way that I would play it. Yeah. I'm not going long off 100 here because of 18,000, but I'm not taking the breakdown right away. I'm looking for a false break, maybe a reversion back in here where we can short it after everyone gets stopped out that tries to short the 100, or if it takes it a second time. That would be my play. Okay, so now you've heard my plan of action. We can talk about Disney. Disney's at the low of the day. Disney is not having a good day. Thankfully, Netflix was doing okay.
Boom.
Oh, there it goes. So there's the break on
90.
Nvidia.
Just a 90.
Yeah, I promise you we'll get to Disney at some point. But there's the break of Nvidia. It got to 99.80 and now right back through. So this would be that test. If it makes a push into 101, I'd look for a short back into 101, or maybe just something a little bit lower in here. So basically a flat bottom break happened on Disney. Unless it gets back above 90, I think they're in a world of hurt for Disney. It's a hands-off for me in the long term. 78 is the key level. Sorry, I'm going to be watching Nvidia here. It's at 100. But 78 is the bid on the long term. I think that's where it's worthy of looking. If it continues to the downside, that's where I would look to see if Disney can catch a bid. Otherwise, it needs to reclaim the $90 level. It's at the lows of the day as we speak, while the futures are at this 18,000.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I got it on a watch right here. It's chopping around. A lot of volume being done at that 100 mark. So yeah, just definitely something to keep eyes on. I don't necessarily want to get involved right away, but I think definitely got to have eyes on it. SMCI broke 500, says Neil. Okay, wow, yeah. All right, so a little bit of chop happening around that 100. So let's talk about Disney here. Disney's selling off strongly off of earnings there. Makes a little bit of a low. Lick grabs that low right off of the open, gives you a little bit of a bid, but can't really get past some of these pre-market levels. Does get past some of that VWAP, but look at that previous day consolidation low, a little bit of a pullback here. Can't really get past that either. That level kind of shows up as well in the pre-market right here, where a little bit of consolidation pop comes down, bit of a chop, and then drop down further. So that an 89 level rejecting as of right now, and we're pulling down to the downside again. Let's see if some of these day lows, opening range low at 86.21, also day low. Let's see if we can get there. Only about less than a point away from that level right now, 50, 60 pennies.
Very tough today for Airbnb. Obviously, they reported after the bell yesterday, down 14 1/3. Look, it was a mixed report. There were some good, some bad, but what really stood out, and I think what the market is really digesting here, is the forecast. They're basically seeing weakness in the U.S. market, not as much weakness in the international market. They also removed about 200,000 lower quality listings that they say didn't meet their standards. Yeah, but right now, we're trying to bounce off day's lows, guys.
Yeah, we're trying to bounce off days low. So the reclaim, when it retook the low of the day there on Nvidia, by the way, let's just say it flushed rather quickly. I'll just go ahead and cancel. I did try to quickly snag it as it reclaimed that low. The other thing, and I'll get to Airbnb in a quick second. The other thing that just played was 130 on AMD as I saw that happening. So I went over when I didn't get the fill in Nvidia and tried to get AMD off of 130. Did not get the fill either. I'll leave that one in there because it's a pretty good level on its own. Now we can talk about some Airbnb. 99.50 is trying to hold a little bit on Nvidia, so might make another challenge at 100. Sometimes down 14% could look a heck of a lot worse because there wasn't a ton of follow through at the bottom on Airbnb. It went right down into 113, a support level. I had one short early off of VWAP that we scalped, and then it kind of broke back out. It didn't go back over to it because it just really started blowing it out. I felt at that point, this was the moment, it either reloaded or not. It then falls right back in, and it's underneath 112, which is where I was shorting before. That's a key price level, as I showed you. The daily support was down at 113. So closing underneath that's going to be pretty bearish here for Airbnb, but as you can see on a 15-minute chart, this is what it's been doing, going sideways for the last hour and 15 minutes. At this point, it is a chip story. SMCI, I still can't get over the fact that for anyone that wasn't watching in the morning show, this was the moment that I got into an SMCI long on trend. This is the moment that I was like, it's not getting to the 40s, it's going to stop here, and this is when it turned, and I did not get short on that trend reversal trade. The mean reversion was ridiculous. This is now at $492 while Nvidia battles with the 100 on the other side.
Yeah, 1 second. I just got to get this in real quick.
You going long?
I
got it. So basically, I know you're always going long back through the 100 level, as we can certainly see there. And will it hold on? See, my plan of action was to, if it lit grabs underneath, let's have a look at the 101 instead of the 100 on the way down. So it already broke a fresh low. Let's see what happens. AMD is going to try and take that 130 level. If it does, I'm jamming out of it. But I wanted to see the 101 there. So I know you're long at the 100 level, Obi.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens on that. Nvidia, nice lit grab going. SMCI making a bit of a bounce as well. AMD just took out the 130. So I'm going to be out of that one. I'm looking for 101 here. Can it sustain through that level? And the other thing I'm curious about is, if we do make a big bounce off 18,000, how far can Intel get? And I think that's, like, to me, that's the biggest dog right now, because it's been sliding down regardless. Like, some days Nvidia is strong, some days it's weak. Today it's weak. Yesterday was actually a pretty good day for Nvidia, whereas Intel's basically been a short every day. So on any pops, that's the lowest hanging fruit in my opinion. It looks like we're not getting to that 101, slowing up here at 125 cents. I'd like it to get a little bit into the 101 so you could give it to the 101 half. I see Pathic saying shop, shop, shop. You must mean Shopify moving. Eyes are on Nvidia for me. Maybe I can do this for you. I'm going to throw Shopify on another chart that I can just bring down because I don't want to get off the Nvidia chart. Yeah, look at Shopify's reversion here. Nasty. Shopify right into the morning low and it catches a bounce. 63.5, opening range low on Shopify. That is exactly where it bounced. So I'm going to hope that if you're long, you got it long right off of that low. This is why we talk about the opening range. I'll zoom it out so you can see. This is why we talk about the opening range bottom, because that ends up, you never know when it's going to matter. And that just ended up giving you a nice bounce trade there on Shopify as we're headed back into the upside. All right, now you're starting to press a little bit on Nvidia. Let's see if we can get to that 101. The low was 63.50, Pathic.
Yeah. I mean, it's been holding the 8 and the 21 moving average right here. I got the 8 on a 3-minute. I got the 8 moving at like 140. We're attempting to push that. 21 at 101.18. So yeah, 101 is definitely within range of the trend that it's been doing. But yeah, Airbnb, sorry, I kind of missed that one there. But a little bit of a move off of the open there. You attempt to break some of these pre-market highs, but failure to follow through, man, comes right back in. I was looking for that push either way, right? One way or the other, but we kind of just been trading within that opening range pretty much all day. You attempt to break the highs, can't really get there. Opening range low, attempts to break, holds on the bid just above that 110. I like that, but hasn't really gone anywhere too far since then. Nvidia is still chopping around this 100 mark, man. So it might not be, like we said, might not be the cleanest on the first time around, might not even be it. But that 18,000 catching a little bit of a bid here, holding in trend is Nvidia on I got a 3-minute chart here, so let's see how well this 100 holds. We've sold off quite extensively, I guess, since the morning. You can see when the sell comes in around 11 o'clock right here, 18,550 reject, and then pushes right back in all the way to 18,000 on the DAC. So absolutely wild move there. Over, well, pretty much 500 points. 500 points to the downside on the NASDAQ right there. Things might be catching a little bit of a bounce.
I mean, they're definitely, I see Ricky Peters in the chat there. The trap has been set, but is the weight enough to set it off? Ooh, I love that analogy.
Ooh.
I love that analogy. Like, certainly the trap was set for the short down underneath the 100. Like, that's sort of what I'm looking at. Like, okay, well, what happens when it gets back into here? Like that 101 half zone, this low. Like VWAP is at $104.05 or 50 cents. So even if you get up to this level, you could break out that top. You've still got $3 to go up into VWAP. Yep. So to me, the decision zone is going to be in here. I want to see, does it punch through here, or are we still going to be heading to the downside? So I want to see it get to $101. A, obviously it'd be nice if you just went on the long. B, it'll get into the zone that I like. And the other thing, I cannot believe, like this is, whoops, I just went to Tesla. I legitimately meant to type Intel. I don't know why I just typed Tesla. So Intel tries to get back to 1950. This is the other one I want to look short. Want to look short up at that 1965 zone. We're going to do the unveiling a little bit later, but Nvidia took 100 downside, came right back up, Randy. Big shout out to Randy, who did go to the, was it Rexall, to pick up this Magic 8 Ball twice, because it wasn't there. Well, it wasn't available, it's there, but you can't pick it up until 1 o'clock. You know it's there already when they say that. Yeah. It's like they give you the slip and it's like, it'll be available after 1 o'clock. You know it's been sitting there all day long. and why they have to be like available.
That's happened to me so many times where I'm really like anticipating a package and they're like ready before this. I'm like, well, my app is showing me that it's already at the location. It's already there. So I'm just going to go pick it up early. They're like, no, we got to do some stuff. Like maybe it's like some logistics or something like that. Who knows? But
they're just messing with us, man. But that's how it's, you know, the episode of Seinfeld with the cable guy, right?
I think I've only seen the first season. So like,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys probably know what I'm talking about. They give you like a window, the joke, they give you a window of time. Well, it'll come between 12 o'clock and 4 p.m., like a 4-hour window that they're going to show up to do 10 minutes of work. And that's not how it is anymore, but like, yeah, then they show up outside of it. Actually, I think realistically, a lot of that stuff is way better now. All right, so let's go back over to the market. So I was saying Intel can't get past 19.5. Nvidia's still going or trying to go up. Intel's curling at 19.5. I feel with Intel at these levels, it'll be tight stops. If we get back in closer to 1975, I'd give it a bit of a wider berth. But the market is really trying to make this bounce work. Let's see if I can't get picked up like 48 or something like that on Intel in front of this 19.5. Let's go. Let's see what happens here. I want to keep an eye on that Nvidia, which you're watching it because you're into it. Might have just missed a chance to get the offer. Okay, let's move to 97 and see if we get filled at 97. Don't want to move too far away from it.
Holding within this trend here. You can see I got a moving average on this chart here as well, but not necessarily the one I'm kind of using as an indication really. But you can see you get the gist of it. We've been in this pretty much tight trend, and this retest off of that 100 still holding well within that tight trend. We did drop down into what is that? You know what's funny? I had an alert at 490 and change on SMCI, and we took a little bit of a bounce. We took a 6-point bounce on SMCI off of that 490 as of right now. That's the only alert I really had on SMCI. I might have put it in this morning as well on screen, but
why 490? Out of curiosity.
Okay, let's see why 490. I think I remember why. I just got to make sure. Just looking back at the chart, let's go to an hourly here. Why 490? Oh, right, because earnings, first earnings day. Right?
There you go.
Yeah, I did put that. First earnings day of this year, right here.
I see it.
Like you see that right there? Top coming into it, base coming off of it. So I like that 490 for a potential push. And because that was the first earnings that we popped off of, pulled back, and that was the base of this year. First earnings of this year is what I mean. On SMCI, and we're holding that. As of right now, we're just holding that by like 6 points. Again, a $500 ticker, 6 points, it'll eat that for breakfast.
Oh, 100%. The other thing that's happening right now as we speak, so I did get that fill in the offer of Intel. With Intel, you got to sit on the offer. It's it's a $20 stock, so you don't always want to be paying that extra penny, but it gave me the fill anyways. Bitcoin is rolling over a little bit here. So this is a 15-minute chart. I don't really need to use a different time frame. We're going to test 55,000. So basically 55,000, Nvidia 100, NASDAQ 18,000. I mean, the ES isn't really at a key level. Actually, wait a minute. 5233 was a key level, I think. I think the ES bottom is actually at a key level. 5233 for some reason. Actually, in the back of my mind, I'm pretty sure that was a big level. So you've got a lot of things sort of coalescing, if that's even the right word, on the bid. That if we lose them all, I know it's only Wednesday, but you guys can make up something for. There's no good puns for Wednesdays. Like there's Turnaround Tuesday, Free Fall Friday, Manic Monday. What the heck do you do for
Wonderful Wednesdays?
Well, I mean,
right.
Hold on a second, Obi.
Yes.
Oh, just wait a minute, because I'm going to pull back up the chart of the futures and just remind everybody that we've gone top to bottom here. So I don't know if we can call it a Wonderful Wednesday. I was thinking something more negative.
I mean, depends on perspective. I see a pullback that hard, and I see again backside. I'm going to be
there
like, that is wonderful.
Okay. And
Wipeout Wednesday, all right.
Wipeout Wednesday. Matthew Booth in the chat. Wipeout Wednesday. There's Wild. There's Week Wednesday. It's also Hump Day. No, I know it's Hump Day. I just wanted something that was a little bit crazy. No, Wipeout Wednesday. So if we get to the lows and break them, we got ourselves a Wipeout Wednesday. We'll see. So I took some out at 42s on Intel. Low of the day is 1937. So you effectively have the current range 1950 to 1937. So the local range is basically 13 cents on Intel. Obviously, it's moved a heck of a lot more than that today, but until it breaks out of this range, any shorts in front of the 50s is a scalp to the low and then hold some. So I tried to get more shares, but I actually did not get filled at 48. Wet blanket Wednesday, whack Wednesday. Now you guys are really starting to live it up there. So I'm going to wait till we're in a power. When we get power hour, we'll do a power hour reveal and maybe ask the 8-ball an important question. But for now, the market seems like it wants to retest 18,000. If we lose 18,000, oh, we did get, okay, we got to 18.0 something.
Yeah, we never got to 18 flat.
Close enough. We didn't actually get to 18,000.
Yeah.
But at this point, did we come all this way?
To come all this way?
To not get to the level? I'm inclined to think not.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, so that 100 coming right back in as the market takes a little bit of a flush down. So yeah, we only bid back up into that trend high, and then we're coming right back in to that 100 as of right now, with the market pushing right back into that 18,000 mark. So yeah, very likely, I guess that I'm probably gonna get stopped out of this one here, but stop is in. We'll wait. We'll see. I'm accepted the risk, and more than willing to try it a couple of times. And if it's not there, it's not there. If it trades lower and kind of pushes back in, then that's perfectly fine as well. Next trade is what I'm going to be saying. So yeah, it's coming right in. Look at that 99.90s churning as of right now here. Reclaim of 100, but nothing too crazy. A lot of chop, a lot of volume. We were talking about a lot of volume. Almost 8,000 shares. Sorry, lots. Not even shares. Not 8,000 shares. 8,000 lots almost got taken on the bid at 100. We were talking about this just yesterday. You remember last time Nvidia was at 100? You know, I'm sure that's a phrase we're going to be saying. We're going to be saying in a few months, maybe potentially. Whichever way we go.
Obi.
And 100 definitely going to be an interesting area.
Do you remember the good old days?
Good old days.
When Nvidia was trading under $100, where it looked like the world was ending, and it was down at 93 bucks, and everybody and their mother was asking, when is limit down? What is the market going to do? What is limit down? Well, that was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
That was 2 days ago, and I know you knew that, but I'm saying it anyways. Be careful with it. Thank you for the super chat. Kyle Burdett, 245 coming, and the big boys could try and put on a big action burst. Stay water. I like that. That means stay fluid. Do not get wrapped up in anything. Do not get messed up. Bo's saying in the chat, I'm going to hit the old like on that one. Thank you so much there for the super chat. Is that Boaz? 100 isn't support. 100's a round number where a bunch of people just took shares. I tend to agree with that. The support level, I got a bunch of wicks on this. I can go to the 3-minute. Maybe they don't have those on the 3 of Nvidia. Hey, that was Neil going short at 104 and getting out at 103, because sometimes I do that. But if I pull back a little bit further, I think it was 98. No, that's not the day. It was 2 days ago. 98 was, you can't see. You can only see it on the 15th. But it was like a double barrel higher low support at $98 on Nvidia. I guess I'll just have to use this 15-minute, and it's right here. 98. I think that would be the spot where you run into some support. So you could still have a bounce off of that level. All bets are off if it loses it. And speaking of stocks losing levels, Intel still won't break the low yet. But the similar thing happened on ARM at this 108. So the reason I was in the ARM short was this. So look at this 108 level. Sorry, it's actually like 108.80 or 109. You saw the same thing happen where you had some support after that big, massive down day in the afternoon where we reversed. You had support there. It ended up breaking down off that support. So I was shorted, and I should maybe be going back into this. I don't know. This is to 110. I don't know if it's close enough to the 110 for a reload in this. But yeah, Nvidia looking awfully weak. Intel won't break any fresh lows. I might pivot to ARM if I don't find something juicy in Nvidia. I don't want to be punching the low, but there's still some room to that $98 level to try and get something into that 100. But ARM looks pretty tasty as well. I just kind of feel like if we run the short, if we run that 18,000, it could get relatively nasty, and it might be difficult to get into shorts as 18,000 is trying to go. You almost need to be in something going into it. What else we got going? I know Lumen is trying to make a bit of a base, but that's a weak stock currently. If I see Lumen start to go, I have no issues trying to jump into a long, but it's been very, very weak lately.
Yeah, no, I'm just, again, we're coming right back into that 100 mark. So I am trying this a couple of times here. Again, we talk about things not being clean on the initial pushes there. So gotta be a little wary on that one there, and see what we do in and around this 100 as the market comes into that 18,000 and attempts to test push around some size, some volume here on the futures. So we are still hovering, still holding 99.70s on Nvidia here. But yeah, no, you're right. 100 is just not. It's not necessarily like a clear technical level, but it is kind of a place where a lot of volume churned. And yeah, I like that 98 as well. If we can potentially come back into that, I like that even more as well. But yeah, let's see what we do with this 9.5s holding as of right now, trend holding as of right now. And yeah, no, was it Kyle? Was it Kyle who was saying that? Yeah, watch out for any sort of like volatility be like water. Yeah, definitely gotta assume that mindset for sure here as things start to get a little bit spicy. Again, selling off all day. Well, most of the day, majority of the day. We've been selling off since 11 o'clock in a straight trend down. You'll take a look at some of these ETFs, some of these chip names. Very clean trends to the downside. 50-minute prior bars, 30-minute prior bars, 1 hour prior bars. All of them holding so well. Shorts have definitely been in charge and on the book here. Very clean. You can see we've pretty much extended distinctly off of VWAP as well as we're pulling back into some of these levels here, Neil. So yeah, let us know. Are you guys trading some of these trends on the day? Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, let us know in the chat what you guys are doing. Ponzi, no, Brendan's not. Brendan's hard at work, man. He's, I have to go that way. See, there's Brendan, and he's always hard at work, but he's not trading. He's doing the things that need to get done to make sure Trader TV Live gets better each and every single day, and it's all for you guys. But Intel just broke the lows, and I'm trying to get into what is with like ARM. Oh, okay. Anyways, yeah, I didn't get into ARM. So ARM did this wick up to 109. This is me trying to catch the lower high. That's me canceling the order as it starts to break into the downside. At the same time, that's also me trying to get short underneath 100 again on Nvidia. And the only thing I'm in right now is that Intel. But on that last little pop up, I did try in a couple to get into some things. And Darius Golden just said, well, I didn't get into those shorts, so we'll have to wait for another entry. Rounded top on the 1 hour on Nvidia. I don't know, but what I can do is we can look at an hourly chart. I'll just use a picture-in-picture here. Go from a 15 to the hour. Yeah, that'll do. Well, you can call this a lot of things. I mean, you've got, not only do you have a rounded top, you've got a double top. You have a clear resistance failure. You have a higher low support breaking down to multiple levels. So basically, see all these higher lows that you've got on Nvidia, that's the 98, that's the 100, and then we already lost the 101.5. The 101.5 was already referenced on the fail break of 100. I wanted to short back at 101.5. That's for this reason. So now you fail that one. You're testing the 100. You still got the 98. All bets are off if we lose $98 on Nvidia. So it's like if you were trading this in the morning, like I think like long here to 98 would be reasonable because you could probably break back out and go $5. It's just usually when I have a tighter stop. Let me pop that back in. The cool thing about trade ideas is I can just double click the top and it just pops right back in. See, when I look up, I'm looking sometimes at that.
VIX just wicked off of 30.
The VIX just went too?
Just slightly off of 30, pulling back off of 30. I like that a little bit.
Oh,
better
I saw
for
that,
the confluence for the long
now
as well. Let's see if the VIX can catch a little bit of a pop here. Still holding trend here on.
Oh my God, Apple's at 210.
Apple's at 210. That was a bit of a level here over the past couple of days. Let's see what Apple does.
Now that would be a long back through.
What's your idea on that one?
No, so in this last move, 18,000 didn't break. Okay, so here's Apple 210 in the morning when it broke. Let me go to the 15 minutes so you guys can see this. There's Apple 210 double top yesterday. So if it's going to lit grab underneath 210, this is actually up 1 1/3. So Apple's up on the day. I just went one screen too far for you guys there. I want to go back to my 3-minute chart. I don't like 1-minute charts. Back to a 3. So it just lit grabbed underneath the 210 level, consolidating. If it can reclaim it, I do like this a little bit better for a long here. So let's see if we can get back through the 210. Still not really finding, like I said, if Nvidia gets up to 101, 101 half, that's the spot that I'm really looking for that short. That would make some sense. But Apple through 210, that was a big level before. If it can reclaim it, that was the biggest candle since midday in terms of volume just happened. So let's see if it can get back to that 210. That would be bullish for Apple.
Yeah, no, that, again, only about almost 3 minutes left to print here on this 15-minute candle. And take a look at the NASDAQ candle right there. A bit of a bottom wick about to go red to green on the NASDAQ candle. So we would have had an attempted push into that 18,000, a retest of 18.1 on the previous 15-minute candle. And now this 15-minute candle here, a little bit of a bottom wick happening. Let's see if that means anything. I don't know whether it means anything or not, but can it bounce? I have no idea, but there is a lot of volume that's getting churned in and around this 100 mark. So let's see. I have no idea. But that 100, definitely a little bit of an interesting area for me with all the volume that's coming in and around here. It could just be a pit stop and we could trade lower, or it could be like a little bit of a point on the chart where we take a little bit of a bounce off of. So no idea, just waiting, watching patiently, not in the full size that I'd really like to be in here just yet. I've tried it twice already. They say third time's a charm, but I don't know. We shall see. I don't think there's
a lot of
33% win rate is not necessarily.
If you're a baseball player, you're going to the Hall of Fame with a 33% win rate. Although, see, people say that, but it's not actually true. Because people always talk about in baseball, it's your batting average. But last I checked, there's more than one way to get on base. The thing that actually matters in baseball, and I'm a bit of a baseball nerd, how many outs do you make? It's not. To me, it's not. It's the rate at which you make outs. So if you don't make an out, you've done something good. So in baseball, if you win only 33% of the time, you're basically average. People say go to the Hall of Fame 3 times out of 10. You're actually not. I'm gonna take a shot at this arm. I actually didn't mean. I didn't mean that pun, man. That was a bad pun. I didn't mean it. It was a complete accident. I'm gonna take a shot at this arm underneath 109 here. Just some selling that's coming into 109 even underneath that 109.30. Now I was short this before around this level, pretty much at 9s. I kind of took, I don't know, I did not like this out there, and I kind of got back in here, then took some out flat when it held 9, held down into 107 half as we mentioned before. Now I want to give it to this 109 quarter if we can. Intel's still cruising to the downside as far as I'm concerned. And I would like to be able to get into ARM or something else here that isn't just Intel flushing. SMCI tried to reclaim 500. It did not, unfortunately. So SMCI, it's doing its best to get back above 500. Remember, this is SSR. That explodes through 500 could be spicy. Apple didn't break 200, so no long for me in that. I guess I'm either waiting for 101 half, short the fade on Nvidia. If I can get filled at 109 on ARM, we'll take that. I am looking short. Intel just continues to flush. It's at 19.3. Okay, if I'm not going to get more shares of Intel at 19.5, do some work as to what the bottom is. Oh, lovely. Intel is 3 cents away from its post-earning low. 2 cents away. 1 cent away from its post-earnings low. And then there is no bottom that isn't $19 even, because that's just a round number. So Intel is going to get to 19 bucks. We'll have to find another way to get back into this. The market still holding the bottom of the channel, but at least this is still continuing to fall. The mistake was waiting till 19.5 to get short after covering at $20 even on Intel.
Yeah, that's a bit of a missed opportunity on my part as well. But again, missed a lot of playbook trades. I got to do better at trying to capture a lot of those trades when I can, and Intel was definitely one of the names on watch here. All right, we have closed that 15-minute candle. Let's see what we do on the DAC here as we're chopping and churning on top of that. What is that? 1850 on the
crap.
NASDAQ there. Where's the ES at? ES is at 5240 as of right now. I should probably be watching a little bit of some of this tech basket at the same time just to kind of give me an idea. Okay, so Google, hello Google. Google, a little bit of a bounce happening on Google. Amazon, kind of a green candle on the 15, but we're seeing that kind of sentiment on a few different names. There's Softy though. Softy's the one, Neil.
What's it doing?
That's looking weaker than the rest of these.
Really?
Though they're all kind of selling off. This thing is looking. I mean, we made a bit of a wick on the last 15-minute candle, but the thing is, they're all wicky, right? So you can't really inference too much off of that there. But 13 minutes left for this 15-minute candle to print. Let's see if we can get a bit of a reversion here going into the last 15 minutes before power hour.
I'm always curious because everyone has different terms for these things. Because I see RL agree, healthy sell-off, Nvidia. Then I saw someone, Martin in the chat saying healthy sell-off has been selling off since June. I think every stock is different. Like, what's a healthy sell-off for Mullen? 97%? Like, what's a healthy sell-off for the Qs? Like 10, 20, 10%, 20%. Those things tend to be reasonable. For ARM, everything is different, man. Like, a healthy sell-off for ARM when it's doing this is not going to be the same as it is for Walmart. Just throwing something out there that is probably not having a terribly bad day today. I could be wrong about this, but everything's in context. So I think it's great. That's the best thing about the market is you have different instruments which have various degrees of volatility and where people can have vastly different opinions. That's why the stock market moves, and that's what makes trading, even possible. Like, if everyone had exactly the same outlook and the same time frame on everything, we'd be screwed. But there's people that are long-term investors and swing traders and day traders and scalpers and whatever the heck you want to call it. Now we'll go back to trading. ARM got that fill in front of 109, 108.80. You guys can see the range. That's 109. This is a 3-minute chart, so this is 10 minutes. For 10 minutes, it's been bouncing from 109 to 108. So plan of action, get short in front of 9, scalp some in front of 8, hold to see if it can break the low. So we'll keep it pretty simple there. And if the market wants to continue to go flush, at least I'll have something that is not Intel. There's always something else. VIX still ripping. I just saw that in the chat. Yeah, VIX
holding under.
Yeah, we're still trending higher on what I'm looking up and looking at other charts. But yeah, we're still trending it back into the highs. So volatility would suggest that this 18,000, which is on the bid, could go. Tesla breaking 192, SMCI low a day. Intel's been at the low of the day forever, so who cares? Where's Apple? Nowhere. Okay, let's just cancel that. We're not breaking 210 on Apple, so we'll just cancel that order. We're going to the downside. It looks like Adara was dead on when she decided to dress in red today. And the funny thing, I'm not making this up. I had two choices, this like ridiculously bright teal shirt, which I'm realizing now is probably not the best look with all these lights. It's really shiny. I'm not going to wear this again. And I had a red polo that I was going to put on today, and then I just didn't do it. I decided this is really bright. Someone should tell me not to wear this on the show. Like, it's blinding.
Yeah,
Rob just said, I don't know where Fabian went, but Rob's on the ones and twos now. He just said it's a good contrast. No, I think it's like blinding. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I think I was talking to Fabian about this literally yesterday after the show, and I was like, I wore that really bright white shirt one day, and the chat was like, yeah, that's way too bright there. But yeah, no, sometimes I guess depending on I guess the lighting and how bright certain reflective materials on the things can be, I guess it can get a little too stimulating. But yeah, I'm just staring down this.
That's an interesting way to put it, stimulating, huh?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's not going to happen in Zero Saskatchewan. Come on, man. It's a family show. Family. It's like, just take it off. I'm like, no. Ain't nobody want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. You don't want to see it. Trust me, you don't want to see it. But the market does want to bounce off 18,000. So I do have to consider, when I say the market, I mean the NASDAQ. So that's this. This time we did get to 18,000. Now I can say we went to 18,000, Obi.
Yes.
Last time I said it here, and we got to 18,000, like 15, so like 15 hands away. This time we bounced off 18,000. So if we do get back to the top end of the range, got to be very careful with reloads, because if this is a good hold, you could really explode. So that Nvidia 101.50 could come back into play here. And let's see what happens. Logan Hudson in the chat. Neil and Obi, what time frames do you guys use for entries and analysis?
All of them.
No problem. Yeah, that's a good answer. All of them. You saw I was using a 1-minute chart to show you guys something on Intel at that $20 break, but I use a 3-minute chart. This is one of my main. If we can come to my screen, Rob, for a second? There we go. I have a 3-minute chart, and I actually use like multiple desktops to show you guys. It's actually really easy. So everything on my other 3 screens can stay the same, and then what I show you guys, I can show you guys level 2. And then I have a daily chart, and then I use a 15-minute chart. Most of my work in the morning is done on the daily, the 15, and then a weekly. And then once we're trading, I'm using the 15 and the daily, the 3-minute chart. So like when I'm finding levels and finding ideas, that's pretty much exclusively on a daily and a 15-minute. I'm not looking for trading ideas to start the day on a 3-minute chart of the previous day. I've never found that to make any sense. They usually get chopped up with ideas like that, so I like to use a 15, 3, and a daily. You, Obi?
Yeah. Okay. So I like the 3-minute. I like the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 30-minute, the 1 hour, the 3 hour, the 9 hour, the weekly, the daily, the monthly, the 6-month chart, the 3-month chart, and the 12-month chart. So when I say all of them, I kind of mean all of them.
Literally meant all.
The 1 minute as well. Sometimes I like to use the 15-second or the 5-second as well. So yeah, across the board, depending on how and what I'm trying to play.
See, unlike my 7-year-old daughter who says literally a lot, you actually meant literally all of them. You said all of them. You really meant all of them.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to get a little weird and be like, "What is a 6-minute chart looking like?" You know?
Come on, son. You're not using any 6-minute. We don't even have a 6-minute chart.
I have all the charts.
You're
talking about?
I'm talking about P Pro 8. So our trading platform 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 30, 60, 90.
Something about the powers of 3s and 9s. I've heard. I don't know. We shall see. Whatever. It depends on whatever works for you, whatever you like.
Exactly. Right? I got 3. That's all I'm looking at, man. I'm keeping it. No, when I started trading, I had a 1 because I was trading a lot of. This is a long time ago. But when I started trading on penny stocks like 20 years ago, yeah, I was like 1 minute level 2. Like I didn't even like sometimes like I would want to see like on a 15 like where it held for a while the previous day. But I was like pure short-term time frame and was in and out a lot. So everyone's going to be different. So it's almost 3 o'clock.
It is.
I've got ARM, I've got Intel, and we're gonna open it up. So I hope Mr. Westermeyer's here because we already know what it is. We already had one.
I'm curious to know what. Yeah. What are the options?
One of our viewers, longtime viewers, I call him Mr. Westermeyer because it's just a sign of respect. Got us this, and it's customized. Now, I think he was going to spoil some of the custom things on here, and I was like, I don't want to know. So what are we going to ask here? I want to ask a question about Nvidia. Okay, so here's my question for Nvidia.
Yes.
Will Nvidia close above $100? Magic 8 ball. Give it a shake. And we put it here so you can, I'm not tampering with it. You can see.
What does it say?
You can read it. Oh, no.
Yes, and Neil is the GOAT.
So that means no. That means no. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say that.
Awesome.
But I feel like that almost like invalidates. You know who the GOAT is? Oh, that's the wrong key. I meant to hit this one. Yay, 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 yay. Brendan's the GOAT, even though that's a sheep in the graphic. Sometimes it is what it is. I don't know. It says GOAT on my board. When we made it, the whole point was that it was supposed to be a GOAT, and then it's still a sheep anyways. But apparently the Magic 8 Ball thinks we're closing above 100.
I mean, we're doing a lot of volume in and around. Here comes the 100 reclaim. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I held a little bit against me. I got stopped out a couple of times, and I was like, I can see what maybe, I don't know, there's some chop going on there. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let it trade do its thing a little bit and dabble in a little bit there. Let's see if we actually reclaim some of these levels here. We have been trending down for the longest time, and we got that 18,000 bounce as of right now, but we don't know if that bounce is gonna come in and actually bounce, or we just kind of do a little bit of a pit stop at that 18,000 and continue to the downside. We are down just over 500 points from the highs to the lows in the intraday trading session today. 500 points to the downside, man. That's absolutely crazy. But you know what? We've seen some more volatile days as of recent, so I'm starting to get used to this this a little bit there. We talk about that 30 pullback on the VIX. I'm looking at the hourly on the VIX right now. Let's take a look at the 30-minute as well. Yeah, okay, so a little bit of a pullback happening there. Let's see if there's any sort of confluence with a bid coming in. Check in Softy. Softy actually made fresh lows. Apple made fresh lows. Alphabet's still kind of bouncing. Amazon's a little bit of a bounce. And Nvidia attempting to kind of bounce off of its highs. Let's see if that how that kind of comes in. Spider is attempting to test almost yesterday's lows. Yesterday's lows at 517.88. So interesting stuff. Nothing else too crazy going on here. I'm not really watching anything other than this Nvidia here, but let us know in the chat. What are you guys up to? What are you guys watching? What's in play for you?
It might actually.
Everybody's playbook is a little different.
It did catch a bid as we said that. That's hilarious. I saw someone in the chat. It's like the second that we said that.
Watch it close 100.00.
Well, that's not fun for anybody if it closes at $100. And it's not even a Friday. There's no excuse for it to hug $100 forever unless it's Friday. I was just checking back in on Lumen. Saad, how are you? Did you ever trade Lumen today? I'm doing fine, thank you very much. Although I've already said this, and I might say this in the aftermarket show with Adara, that today is the worst possible green day because Intel should have been the greatest stock ever. It was the easiest short off $20 that I've seen. And it was the most simplistic short off of $20 that I've seen in quite some time. By the way, I just trailed out. Intel hit the low post earnings and bounced off of it. So I'm trailing that short at 47 out at 31. So just hit that bottom and went. Still in ARM, that's managing to hold. But Lumen, I have not traded Lumen today. And oddly enough, that was a mistake because when everyone forgot about it, actually, you can rewind the tape. It was right about here, I think. So sometime around 10 o'clock in the morning show, between 10 and 10:20, I'm pretty sure I said something about when these break trend, so it broke an early trend, kind of a line of best fit. It may not be that good, but you guys get the idea. When it breaks the early trend, retest some pre-market support, everyone's given up on it, that support ends up holding, and then there it went. So it gave you that 6 higher low into 7. Unfortunately, it completely ran out of steam here on Lumen. Maybe it can do it again, but I know what it looks like when this stock is going well. Right? Like it's trending up, look at it, hold VWAP, it dips and bounces off of it. And when it's going sideways, it's creeping up, going sideways. I'm not seeing any of that. This looks much weaker, at least today, in terms of the action than it did yesterday. But keep in mind, that's 225 million shares, 50% higher than that $4 level from earlier, from yesterday when it broke out from. Or if you're just talking about from the close, 30% higher from the close is doing 225 million shares. So yes, the price action looks bearish, but overall, that's a pretty decent hold for Lumen. That's just the earnings move, reversal in the aftermarket on the higher time frame. That is a wide consolidation day. There's no other way to say it. It's just consolidating in a $1.25 range. Still technically consolidating.
Yeah, Nvidia is still holding its trend quite well here. Again, we see the futures coming back for a retest of that 18th potentially as of right now. About 9 seconds left on this 15-minute candle to print. So we are getting a little bit aggressive in terms of price action here. The tape's starting to speed up a little bit on that candle close, and here we go. That's the close. Let's see what we do with the next one. Do we break through that 18th thou? Or do we kind of push right back up? I have no idea. But yeah, I'm kind of reading the chat as well. What did you guys reply to me talking about what you guys are saying? Stacks saying he bought calls on crowd. Okay, nice. Buying Nvidia for a bounce to 103. Okay, nice. I like that idea as well. Let's see what else you guys are saying. FTNT, yeah, we know that's had some great moves off of that earnings this morning there. FTNT was absolutely great. And yes, Tony Price saying, welcome to Power Hour. We are 40 seconds into Power Hour. What is powerful? I have no idea, but this market to the downside, showing a little bit of strength there, Neil. Let me take a look at my baskets here. CrowdStrike, a little bit of a bounce here. FTNT is still pushing day highs. The market is tanking, and FTNT cannot catch a sell all day long.
So as the market's coming back down, I want to answer this question because it's an important point. Where is it? Kling Daddy. I apologize. You don't apologize for anything. This is a fantastic question. I notice things. If something is the easiest trade, why weren't you in it? That's a question I would ask a trader seeking help. So the reason I'm calling it a huge mistake for myself is specifically why I'm not in it, because I wasn't even on the stock. Despite the fact that I was on the stock all day yesterday, all day the day before, and pretty much the entire time up until about midday when I was short biased on Intel, it held the $12 level at VWAP. And at that point, I was like, unless it gets back up and alerts me at the 12, can we come to my chart for a second? Because that was me getting out of it. Unless it gets back up to the high, which wasn't a random high, it was yesterday's high. I'm like, okay, all of a sudden, I think it's going to retest the high in here. It's in an upward trend. Let it get to the good price to short, or don't short it at all. I pivoted over to ARM. I'll quickly, a few other names.
Something's coming in.
I went to Micron and ARM and started trading ARM and Micron in that moment, right? So instead of sticking with Intel, I got Intel's a little bit strong. I went over to ARM, which I'm going to get out if it breaks that $20 level, so the 109 level, and I got away from Intel. So I wasn't watching it when it did this, and that's why I missed the trade, because I went to some other chip names, notably Micron and ARM, as now Nvidia is starting to go to the upside there for you, Obi. So if we lose 109, I'm going to get out. That's upside on ARM. If it holds here, I might try a reload, but I think it's going to lose it. We're probably headed back into the upside. So I trailed out of Intel. The last one is going to be the ARM short, which just came out at that 109 level. But I did not reload it because Nvidia is flying now. Still want 101 half.
Yeah, that aggressive bid came in. Again, we see what the NQ is doing right here. Pop off of that 18 thou push. 150 is coming in, but I'm looking at this prior high right here. So as soon as that potential trend breaks, I start looking at those horizontal support and resistances as well. Once we do break a trending support and resistance, so the next one's in the 70s. We're trading 160s as of right now with the DAC. Look at that, pushing right back into that 18.1. So yeah, about 100-point wash on the DAC, and now we're trading a little bit above that 18.1. Let's see if that'll come in here. Oh boy. I got to do a little bit better at this stuff, man. Those fills underneath 100 were absolutely mint, and we are attempting to push into 101s as of right now. So let's see where this will bring us. VWAP, where you at, VWAP? 104.12s on the VWAP. See if we get a little bit of bidding in that last hour. We've been selling off quite aggressively. I like the reversions. I don't know if this is going to come in as clean as I'd like it to, but it is what it is. 100 bounce, 18 thou bounce, a little bit of confluence here. And take a look at the VIX. We keep talking about keeping eyes on the VIX. Nice little pullback off of that 30 happening as of right now. So some confluence with a little bit of indicators. Let's see. What else do I got? I got some moving averages as well. Prior support at 101.50s from here, right here. 101.50s happening. And yeah, I was talking about Shop as well. Shop was a clean fade through that VWAP. Shout out to Dara. I saw that she had that short through 66, and I was like, oh boy, is that a nice clean reversion trade continuation? I like the short idea off of the failure to follow through, but that VWAP crack, oh boy, that's a solid trade as well. And that definitely came all the way down to 63 halves. So 101 is incoming right now. Let's see. I'm looking for places to get bigger on this trade. Can you show me what I want to see? What you got, Nvidia? 18.1 pushing back as well.
Yeah, 18.1 in the future. So finally, Apple makes that 210 break. I like Apple for longs because it's up that 1 and change percent or whatever. And then that 210 level that we mentioned, you got to see a 15-minute chart to look at it. But you had some support to resistance. Now breaking a good liquidity grab down here under 209 to maybe trap some shorts in that range. VWAP sits at 211, so scalping to 211.
Prior bar high break on the 30-minute as well.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So you're getting a lot of confluence.
The hourly is about to break prior bar high as well.
And as you mentioned, you're getting volatility pulling right back in. So I'm looking at UVXY, but it's a distinction without a difference. And you've essentially lost. Like here's trend down. You've lost the support at 42. That's why no trail out of Intel, no reload on the ARM short when this started breaking down. And then Apple 210 was the long that I liked back into VWAP, which sits at 211. So if we get down to, I'm looking at UVXY, but the levels will probably be like eerily similar. But if we get down to this support at 39.5, I think you expect another turn. 41 makes some sense. 39.5 would be the absolute potential turn. As I look at that, 41 making sense, and we're at a spot here where Apple wants to stop. If I'm saying it's a scalp to that level and it goes to the $0.50, let me get a touch out here and then find a reload spot potentially for Apple. So Apple looking good into VWAP as we speak. I am still thinking, yeah, look, if we get to 1950, I'd probably just short Intel again, because I still think that's, the market's going to have to be pretty strong to get me away from looking for a short the pop situation on Intel. So let's go longs. The magic 8 ball apparently getting it right as we go into power hour.
Power hour coming in with a little bit of strength there.
See,
So definitely putting the power in power hour. We're testing some of those prior levels here. Let's see. A little bit of bounce happened here at 101.70s. Prior to that, we're at 101.30s. Let's see if we can push. The DAC has to hold this 18.1 and push a little bit higher for that to kind of come in there. VWAP all the way, like we said, 104s. 104s. The red line right here is the VWAP as of right now on Nvidia. Chips with the dip all day long. Let's see if we can get a little bit of pop, snap back up on these names here. But yeah, let's see. I've been selling off quite extensively as well. Shout out to Kyle Burdett. I think he was the one who was like, yeah, watch out for that volatility to potentially come right back in. But let's see.
Good call. Good call.
101's coming right back through. So
oh, you couldn't even get to 1950.
We got to pack our patience a little bit here.
Of course.
I don't think the turn is going to be as clean as, it's never as clean as you want it to be.
No. The bounce is never as clean as you want. The turns are never as clean as you want. The best opportunities, typically speaking, aren't going to be super clean. Again, that's why I was talking about that 20 being ridiculously clean on Intel. But it doesn't get to 1950. If anybody was trading the bounce this morning on SMCI, then believe me, you know the meaning of that term. Like I told Obi, like I was laser focused. Yeah, we're not going to get 1950 on Intel. I was laser focused on SMCI. I had some stops for some breakout trades. Okay, I like this break on Upstart. It broke. Throw my stop in there, and then I'm going back to staring at the tape of SMCI. And then I would go do something else. And why is this floating around all over the place? Let's just stop right back where it was before. But and then I was floating around all over the place. And when it made this lit grab under 520, I just didn't get in. I just didn't get the long. And it was so quick. Now you're back above 500. That's another thing maybe working in favor of this bounce is when you have the stocks bleeding, catching some big support is that SMCI at 500. So Apple's pulling back into 210. I don't know if we're going to be able to get a good reload. I felt you could dip down under 210 for a reload there. And it held at almost exactly $210. So let's see if it gets back into VWAP there. You just got to be patient with it. We have 40 minutes to go till the imbalances come through. Plenty of time to get some confirmation on this move. Maybe the NASDAQ even wants to go red, but I'm telling you this much. If the NASDAQ goes green, if it goes green, Apple's getting to VWAP.
Yeah, I think where's that red to green mark on the NASDAQ here? So opening price actually it's a way high. So we are printing very, very red on the daily here on the NASDAQ. Like I said, majority of half the day, right? That selling started off at 11 o'clock, and we've been kind of tumbling to the downside. No real sign of a bid really coming in until about now. But the question becomes, if that selling is real, do sellers step back in and kind of we break back through lows? I have no idea, but that's just some questions that I'm thinking, maybe scenarios that I'm mapping out in my head and thinking about what decisions I may want to make if that is the case and that does happen. Apple about to break trend high on the downtrend as well. Oh boy, we know that's a little chunky piece of constituent there. And if that kind of goes, chunky piece of constituent. Why not?
It doesn't make sense, and I think it's hilarious.
To me.
A chunky piece of constituent.
Yeah, it's like when it comes to pieces of constituents in the market, it's a nice chunky piece.
It is a big one.
One of the bigger ones.
It's definitely a big one, to be sure. I like it. I love it a lot. No questions asked. Oh, Lumen is starting to go. Okay, so Nvidia didn't quite get to that level and is trying to curl a little bit, but Lumen is starting to pick it up a little bit into VWAP. You know what's good for you, Lumen, and that would be to break and hold above VWAP so we can play with the $7 level. okay, I don't mean to throw cold water on this. Okay, yeah, the volume's starting to creep in there, but it's not overwhelming there on Lumen just yet. Like, remember yesterday, this thing was churning through volume. It's not seeing the same thing. So Nvidia does go close to 101.5 and starts that curl. So there's the test. Now seeming like it wants to hold the 101, could still have a reversion. This would be the area of interest for me. Love to see it get back above 101, maybe retest that 101 half, and then we can see if there's really sellers on there. I wasn't watching it closely enough when it got up there the first time, so I didn't actually see anything up top at that 101.50. But certainly that looks like a pretty good one there. Still holding for it, half a buck in the money on that Apple trade. VWAP sits at 211. But I still want some shorts. I still want Intel, which is going nowhere near the level. Nvidia, I don't think we're done until it breaks 101.50. Over 101.50 gets me bullish on this stock.
Yeah, it's
still a lot of
little bit more. There's still a lot of room for that bid to really, again, potentially start pushing even harder there. But again, I'm looking at the 15-minute chart here. We're kind of reclaiming trend on the 15-minute as well. The 30-minute did attempt to break out as of right now. There's 17 minutes left for the 30-minute to close, and we talk about how many different frames I'm looking at. I have an Nvidia chart here. I got 3-minute, I got 15-minute, I got 30-minute, I got the hourly, I got the weekly. I don't really need the monthly right now, but I have it up. But definitely the weekly on watch as well. Something interesting to note, Neil, prior week low 101.37, and guess where we're kind of struggling to get past?
I think that's that's kind of where the 101 half.
Yeah,
from.
In that area, give or take, plus minus half
I think
a point.
We say this all the time. Like, we'll say prices, but a lot of times it's like an area within like 10, 15 cents.
An area.
So when I say 101 half, that's the general price area. And like you mentioned, it's that bottom that we saw last week. Idea. And it's coming, now it's starting to come right back. And we might have missed the opportunity to be short off of that level. But I'd rather be absolutely right. It didn't, I don't know if it went deep enough into the level to get me into the short. And I wasn't really that convinced at that moment. I will get to your question, name the gain, in a quick little second here. But I just want to point out, you actually found that 41. UVXY, which I was watching, that found that support at the 41, is now bouncing back up. So I'm going to look to see if there's a curl in here and fall back down, that would be a reason to add to the longs, in my opinion. 500 is now gone as well on SMCI one more time. Name the gain. Should I add more hood for the long term? Current average 13. We're not here to give, we're trading. We're trading live intraday for everybody here on a real trading floor. So it's not really our place to give financial advice. I can pull up any chart, and I'm pretty sure the funny thing about this, and I guess it's not funny, but the last time I was asked about Robinhood, I'm probably going to say exactly the same thing as I said last time. Just have a look at this daily chart. You see it to 16. The 200 period lines up. What we just had happen, which I would say is somewhat of a bullish look, although anything can happen on earnings. You have a lit grab underneath that 16 that immediately reestablished and held the next day. So I think above $16, I'd be bullish on the stock in a general sense. But when earnings are coming through tonight, I think all bets are off in that situation. And you know what? Just because it's that time, now I'm not even setting it up properly because Rob's like, what are you doing, Neil? No. Guess what we get to bet on today? Oh, no. I'll get it in a quick second. I don't know if we have the Fabian's not on the ones and twos, but if you go to stonks.com, I know if he can get that up, it's Robinhood that you can bet on today.
Ooh,
so the actual earning play that you can guess for free to potentially win up to $250 if you get first place at stonks.com is going to be Robinhood. So I haven't even thought about where I want to make my bet, so I won't make it live just yet. But certainly the expected move, we'll double check in a quick second. I'm probably going to pick, because it's more fun, higher. I pick higher every single time because it's more fun. But I'll look for some kind of a higher bet there on Robinhood. But 16, that's your key level. But I'm watching right now, a little bit of a curl on UVXY. Going to go for a reload on Apple.
Yeah, some of that. So again, for this trade, to like what I'm thinking is like, okay, if the bid is actually going to catch any sort of selling back down towards that 100, should get picked up in a sense, right? So that's what I'm kind of looking for. We dropped down to 140s, 130s, I think, right there, and picking a little bit back up as of right now. So let's see, the NASDAQ trading back in and around that 18.1. We saw that strong wicking action on that 15-minute candle right here on the DAC, and we are just holding that 18.1 as of right now. Nvidia still holding this 100. Let's see whether or not that magic ball is actually any real magic here as of right now, and we close above 100, or we'll close below 100, and that will be the litmus of the brand new Magic 8 Ball, just to see. I mean, we're not gonna make a call right away. We need to collect some data. You know, you can't be making significant conclusions with n equals 1. I think that.
Want to bet? You make whatever conclusions you want. That's the fun
sample size 1 is not my thing. I gotta have a lot of sample sizes. You know, you got to do it for the science. You got to have a lot of, you can't make conclusive data if you just have one sample size. You got to have at least,
I obviously agree with that.
25, 30 at least.
But you can do whatever you want. It's just a matter of
statistical significance.
Will it actually
is what I'm
work?
Looking for.
Will it work is the question.
Yeah, will it
I
work?
think that's the thing. You want to make sure you actually have significance to any sample, and that goes with trading as well, right? Like you want to try something out. Well, if it works once, what does that actually mean? Back test, forward test, do it every single day, so that if you're trading off of support and resistance or moving averages, just make sure that you have a long enough sample. That's why trading takes a long time to work. I did get that reload on Apple as it just bounced. So see, tried to hold underneath 210, held the first quarter, and then came right back above. So wanted to see a real test underneath before getting back into it. We'll scalp into this resistance and then see if we can get the high of the day on Apple, still going into that upside as we speak.
Can we get
or at
the
least
high of the day
attempting to.
on Nvidia?
The high of the day? No.
No.
I mean, look, I hope so, man. We all own Nvidia in our long-term accounts, at least I'm sure most of us do, and you're long it right now, and if it gets to the high of the day, the market goes ape, you know what, and it's going to drag Apple with it.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Talk
complaining.
about a V-shaped recovery in the last half hour. Oh boy.
But I mean, the chances of that are, I'm just going to make up a number.
I'm just talking smack.
1 in 100, let's just say. 1 in 100.
Let's go.
It's not zero. What?
Yeah.
These guys are all laughing behind us.
I have no idea what's I don't know. Something's funny on the floor right now. So.
Big Patty Ice behind us. We got Brankles. They're all laughing about a joke that we don't get to know because we're doing the show live. Apparently the market wants to go higher, so we did scalp Apple back into that 210.40. So right back
Apple
up
break,
on the way back.
like that.
Yeah, it's a nice trend break for Apple. Potentially. I mean, it's making the attempt at it.
Yes.
So we come to this chart. It's kind of like this.
Exactly that, yeah.
There we go. So there's the lit grab, a liquidity grab under 209. The key level of 210 broke out. And if we break this top, so one of the reasons why, and I should have drawn this line for you guys. It's easy to see, like you can see it visually without putting the line in there, but it's easier to see when you put the line in. When there's a seller out in front on a reversal on a trend like this, scalps them out. That's the point you want to make a decision. And then I'm only adding at support or above. So no adding in here, adding at the 210 support, or if it can break out the other side of the trend line, add above that trend line. So that's my thought. A lot of times we talk really fast, and like I have a thought fully in my head, and I realize, hey, I didn't actually show all of this or say all of this, but Apple going for that trend break, looking pretty good. Odyssey fights, Neil Roberts, Nvidia bull. I hesitate to use terms like that, because in my personal long-term account, I am long things and I don't short anything. The most bearish thing I've ever done in a long-term account is sell covered calls. That's about as bearish as I would get, or get defensive and buy something more defensive. So in that sense, like most people of that ilk are like a perma bull. I buy and hold in my long-term account. Trading, I believe you have to have an open mind. Some days you want to be long, some days you want to be short.
You've never tried swing shorting in your long-term account?
No.
Something like Rivian?
Okay, obviously.
It's a beautiful swing short.
Obviously,
roll
yes.
those puts over. I mean,
look, there was a firm was ridiculous. I remember when I got out of Silvergate, being like, there was a point, and you have to go way back to when COVID was going nuts. I was in Silvergate at like 47, and I got a double up on it. And then I took it out to play with house money. And then I got it all out at like 120 or something like that. And at that point, I remember it went to like 140, 150. I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing ever. This is going to crater. So I converted the last 10% bag hold on the way down over into Coinbase. But that should have been a short. But I just don't do it. And it is what it is. And obviously that, like you just got it is what it is. I don't do it in my long-term account, so I'm not going to pretend that I'm someone sitting here shorting overnight and stuff, because I don't. I'll short.
You can get into a lot of trouble doing
As a
that.
day
Trust
trader,
me, I have gotten into trouble. Like swing shorting small mid caps. Oh boy, I learned some lessons there. But I'm finding that some of the larger caps a little bit more forgiving. And if you have an idea, bigger picture, being like, okay, well, a lot of these things that like IPO or businesses. What is it? It's similar stats as like trying to run a trading business, right? Was it 70 to 90% of businesses pretty much fail over their course of their run, and a lot of these tickers pretty much either get delisted or it's very rare that they kind of last a while.
Speaking
and we
of
see
which,
the outliers. Obviously, those are the examples that we've seen. They do really well, but.
Oh, you know what? There was a missed opportunity today.
What's up?
You just said delisted, and it made me think of this. It's 320. We're going to get early look imbalances at 330. Another reason why this comes to mind. So SunPower is getting delisted. Well, they're going bankrupt. But I want to make sure. I just want to make sure I have this right. Let me go into the research here. Yeah, it's a delete from the total market tonight, because tomorrow. Check that. Tomorrow. So tomorrow, SunPower is supposed to be deleted. Maybe we'll see imbalances on it today, but look at the fade on this thing. I know it's a penny stock, but what difference does it make? Like, so OB is you're a mean reversion trader.
I wouldn't say that. I like to trade price action. I'm just a trader.
So
I'm just a trader. I hear lies from the back. Here's the thing: the mental should be, in my opinion, I'm just a trader.
Okay, so
I have playbooks for mean reversion. Got playbooks for tape scalp. I got to do much better with my playbooks. Let me just say that first.
Okay, all I was getting at was this chart here.
Yeah.
So this is SunPower. Now let's just say you're somebody that is into you're looking for like a stock to mean revert, right? So I'll just draw a couple of lines there, and then we'll go, since it made that high and then did the double top, here is your obvious bottom. There's consolidation there, key support level there. So when it makes that wick bottom, that's where I want to join the trend line. Now I'll give you something like this. Now I don't care what style of mean reversion you do. Once you have that channel past the opening range, and it's a stock that's going bankrupt, okay? So stock is going bankrupt and it's a penny stock that shows you this setup. This is it trying to break out the high with that top of the channel, rolls over, busts through the trend line support. That is 1, 2, 3, I don't know. I'm not even counting how many red candles that is into the close. It goes from 70 cents failing with a 76-cent top straight to 40. 70-cent break of that trend with a 76-cent top straight shot to 40 cents. Now, I traded penny stocks when I started, and you didn't always see stuff like this, but this was the reason why, because nobody cared at the end of the day when you had a positive net what it was that you traded, and you will never see a move like that in Nvidia. Nvidia is not giving you, like, it's going to give you moves, but not necessarily like that. So it's the only reason I wanted to bring that up, because there's trades like this available all over the place. Penny stock, day trade, swing trade, Lumen, which I want to double check on, still trying to hold VWAP. It's trying to go. Lumen's really trying to go. You can trade Apple, you can trade Nvidia, you can trade Robinhood tomorrow, but there's just obvious opportunities all over the place. SOD, that's a ridiculous risk to reward. Absolutely right. But you know what? Was I looking at SunPower today? No. So I can slap the fail on myself for that, because I was looking at Intel and Apple and Nvidia and all that stuff. And I completely forgot that thing's getting deleted tomorrow. So why not look for short setups tomorrow on it?
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? It makes
sense.
sense.
That's a fair assessment, yeah.
I don't know. There's just, what I love about trading in the market is exactly that. You can look anywhere and you can find ideas all over the place. And it doesn't really matter what you do. So when someone tells you, oh, you trade small cap runners, you're buying that Lumen every single day and you're trading it, who cares, man? Are you making money doing it? If the answer is yes, then it doesn't make a difference. Just do you.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. If it's working for you, you got stats behind your trades. and you have confidence in your abilities, then yeah, for sure, definitely go for it there. Watching this 100 kind of come back in as we teeter around this 18.1 on the NASDAQ. Again, coming into that last half hour, we only got 4 minutes left for this half hour to finish, and we're pulling right back into that 100 mark. So you know what? Maybe that is all she wrote. And that 101 test, we got up to 101s and some change. Couldn't really get too far past that. Here comes in that 100 once again on Nvidia. So let's see how far we kind of get in. Might get, like I said, I've accepted the risk. I'm willing to get stopped out on this ticker here. 100 coming back in with the NASDAQ pulling back in off of that 18.1. So maybe those sellers that were there all day potentially still in charge. So the hourly has 33 minutes to close, right? So if you take a look at the hourly chart on Nvidia, the hourly open is at 99.77. So we're pretty much there. If the candle goes green to red, we will have closed with only red candles all day long on Nvidia to the downside. Absolutely wild there in terms of that trend. Holding on for dear life. Some of these short entries apparently. Or the sellers coming in real hot today. 100 still chopping around, man. So
I can't believe we're still just chilling right there.
Out of this one. Probably will get stopped out. Let's see. We shall find out.
That was it. It wasn't 10. It was 101 that ended up being the level, and sometimes you just get it wrong, right? So it wasn't up here testing a little bit higher. It was right down there at 101. That's way down there. I'm not reloading Apple another time. I think it was the right decision to get out of ARM but we could have just got right back in at the 110 level. We're right back on our 18.1. Seems as if we are falling in there. If there's going to be a late push, it's about to go 330. If there's going to be something with a late push, I still have my eyes on Lumen here. I don't want to give up on it. We've seen it make power moves. If it just ekes above VWAP and makes like a local high break, if you see me pop into it, the idea would pretty simple. It's making higher lows. Hold on to VWAP here, break out a local high, give it back into like probably 80 or 75. It's running out of time to do it. That's just it. Paula feedback on Amazon. Sure, why not? I mean, I don't want to reload Apple. I actually am now starting to think I should have gotten back into some shorts. Amazon almost went red today. My concern with Amazon has been basically the same. Outside of the fact that you've made the nice bottom, you're under that 200 period moving average. And so you've made bottoms, but you haven't gotten back through the flush top, which is $170. So you had gap down, earnings, continuation when everything was falling, and then you got this 170 in here. And all you're doing is grinding back into where clearly the post-earnings sell was. Like it's right in here, 68 to 70. That's where the put up or shut up is for Amazon in this range there. So if it gets up in there, which it got close today, and look what happened. It tried to even test to that close area, and it completely flushed. I know the market went down. But my concern with Amazon is, yeah, good recovery, but once it starts to get into where you think their seller's going to be, it just gives it up every single time. So we'll see. If it gets through 170, I get a little more bullish here on Amazon. We'll see what happens. I did not reload Apple, but if I'm feeling a little bit bearish, I'm going to get on the offer in front of VWAP. So it didn't hold above the trend line. You see it test above and not hold above. If it does something similar, I'm going to get out in front of that curl.
Yeah, a bit of a pop happening. Only about 4 seconds left for this 15-minute candle to print, and the NASDAQ candle just went a little bit red to green to red to green, and then closed green just now. So let's see if we're going to come right back in. A little bit of a double wick into that, 18,150 as well on the DAC here. So maybe we are poised to trade a little bit lower on these markets. 100 still holding as of right now. We attempted to push below that 100, and then we pop right back above, but well within that range there. I guess trend high. I had the EMA sitting at like 140s, and we've held below that as of right now. We attempt to push. We broke out a little bit there, but holding some of those levels, like you said, 101s and change as a bit of resistance coming into the close here. With only about 30 minutes left to go, David Clark saying, Nvidia 9% range, beta, oh boy. Yes, sir. Oh boy, indeed. Coming into that last half hour. But here's something though. If you throw up some anchors on Nvidia from some prior earnings and some events as well, you'll see that we're in that area as of right now, in and around confluence with this 100. So I think that kind of gives some precedent to maybe why it's doing so much volume at this level as well. Again, you can be like, oh, it's a psychological, it's this, that, and the other. But there's a lot of just using some of those anchored VWAPs, you can probably infer that there may be a lot of participants that are sitting in and around some of these prices, which kind of confirms that bias there as well. 100 still holding, man. What do you guys going on? What do you guys have going on into that last half hour of the trading day? Are you guys in any trades still? I'm curious to know. I'm just in this Nvidia as of right now. Nothing else too crazy, but it seems like Shopify was the gift that kept on giving there, and it is definitely trending back to the downside here. 64 is potentially coming in as well. So
what a beast!
Bit of a missed opportunity on that breakdown there as well. So, but it
Shop
is what it
and
is. Upstart as well. So some of the best opportunities missed on my part on the day. Intel, Upstart for sure. What is it? Upstart was absolutely beautiful. Market short as well. The reversion of the market, one of the biggest moves on the day. I definitely missed that as well. Shopify reversion, we failure to follow through happened once and then twice, and I didn't get back at it. Same kind of trade. You break the high and then you fail to follow through. You break the high, you fail to follow through. You get like that. I should be getting short again right there, and that's the short that actually works and pulls in all the way from 67s down to 64s after consolidating above VWAP and giving you chances to get even more in. Take a look at this breakdown of 66. This VWAP breakdown as well. Absolutely beautiful price action that I definitely I'm observing here. Tony Price saying, I got nothing going on at the moment. Yeah, I understand that. We only got about 30 minutes left. A lot of the times, if I'm not in a trade already, I'm not necessarily looking for something in that last half hour. If I'm in it already. But if something does show up, oh boy, kind of want to get involved. What's going on? Oh, that Apple's breaking out.
All my animations are dying. They're all slow. By the way, my Stream Deck is slow as well. Turning pages on my Stream Deck is actually slow. So I think it might be the Stream Deck or my computer. Fabian's asking if I've tried turning it off and on. Yes, many times. But Apple got the VWAP in there. Also in that animation, there's something very funky about it that I'm sure most people noticed when the thumbs up happened. But into 211 was VWAP. I said if we got there and stalled even a little bit, I'm getting out. It's past 330, which means early look imbalances, but you got to ring the register sometimes here. And it's trying to break the trend, but you have a lot of chop in and around 211 already on the stock, and we're getting into the end of the day, so why not end it? Why not end it green on your last trade? We'll see if there's another setup there. I don't mind that 210. I don't think we're going to have enough time for either short 19.5 or that 101.5. 19.5 Intel, 101.5 Nvidia. Early look imbalances are pretty much a nothing burger. BAC, that's from the morning. And then Visa, sell of 1.2 million. Lumen, early look sell of 700,000. So that's not looking too good at all. But outside of that, like Ford, very small, early look sell. So you're looking for the BRKR. Those are the early looks. It's Visa, which always pairs off. Lumen would almost be the most interesting. A 700,000 sell on Lumen for an early look, but keep in mind, it's done 235 million in volume. So that 700,000 is not that big of a deal. It needs to be in the millions for it to be significant for LUMN. Doesn't mean it couldn't come out bigger. We're going to keep an eye on that stock. I have a level 2 up of Lumen anyways, so I'm just going to keep that up for myself. Doesn't want to hold VWAP, so I think we're going to get no entry. Gonna double back and see. Probably the right call to get out of Apple. What could also happen here is that trend from this trend line that it just broke, it could always bounce off this, be a re-entry a little bit tighter to 210.5. So out at VWAP, but there might be a chance, like before we get the imbalances, for a bit of a long here down into 210.50. Jay Lee. Neil, sometimes worth bringing up Task Manager to see what's eating up your CPU and causing slowness. I actually did that, and there was nothing that stood out. So thank you very much for that. That's exactly what Rob always tells me from IT. but there was nothing specific. I think it might be something with the Stream Deck, to be honest with you. Maybe I need like a version update, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, perhaps there. Yeah, no, always. Shout out to Fabian when he's like, "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" Classic. I like that. I've actually that's one show that I have seen multiple times.
The
IT Crowd.
Yeah.
Solid show there. But yeah,
Here's a question: Where can you find that to stream it? Where can you stream the IT Crowd right now? If you wanted to rewatch it, where would
It was on Netflix.
Crave? I don't have Crave. All the stuff that I want to watch is on Crave, and I don't have it.
I don't know. Usually, if you just search up a show,
I meant
YouTube,
legally. No, where can I watch it legally?
Understandable. If you usually search up a show on Google and say stream, it'll tell you what platform it's streaming on. It'll tell you at the very top. So Google's done pretty well with that kind of information. So yeah, if you just search up IT Crowd stream, it should show you if there is something. There you go. Prime, it's on Prime.
No, it says Apple TV for $2.
Yeah, premium subscription, Amazon Prime, it's on there.
So it's on Prime?
Yeah, it's on Prime. That's what that means. All right, cool. So we know what Neil's going to be watching.
But it might be only for the U.S. Sometimes it's different, the U.S. and Canada.
You got to hop on that VPN, dude.
Ooh, good look there.
All right, so the DAC is pushing back up above that 18.1 as of right now.
See, it's not available.
We're holding. Oh, is it not?
I need to have BritBox.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that is.
I don't know what that is. Oh,
See,
it says BritBox on there as well.
Man.
It's okay.
No, see, but it says it's on. See, this is why I don't trust anything, because it said when I Google searched it that it was going to be there, and now I have to pay for something else, which I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
Whatever. See, and I would have rewatched that show.
It's definitely a rewatchable. I think I've seen it like a few times. One of the few shows that I've seen more than twice through on that one.
Oh, we got a super chat
Willis
here.
Addison, yes sir, did good today on Airbnb. 120 swing puts, FTNT, 61 calls, now ready for Hood, SEDG, Hubs tonight. Financed with gains. Let's go, buddy.
That is
Congrats,
the
Willis
best
Addison. Thank you for the super chat.
Finance with gains is the best way. Let it roll. That's the whole idea. In trading, your bankroll is your life. I mean, it's your lifeblood. Like, you build your bankroll to a point that you don't have to, well, it's not about don't have to worry, but you're comfortable in all of the trades that you make. And I will tell you candidly, I was one of the last we have a bunch of high school friends. I was one of the last ones to stop living at home because I was a trader on a commission. And as far as I was concerned, I was saving every single dollar of what I made in that first year. I'm talking every dollar. I wouldn't buy someone forced my girlfriend at the time forced a cell phone on me that was a super cheap one, because I'm like, I'm not buying a cell phone. I don't want one. I'm too cheap. I'm living at home. I'm not eating out. Mom's was making me meals. I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't matter what the check is until I build up the account to where it needs to be. And I had that lifeline. I put something away, for a first home and that kind of stuff, and investing and RRSP and all that stuff. Until that happened, I didn't care. But thank you guys so much for all the advice on all of the places where I can watch the IT Crowd. That was very nice of you. Not really seeing anything dramatic yet. Intel still no good. Lumen not really happening. Still that 100. The way they're supporting that 100 is at least interesting there on Nvidia.
Get a shake and bake into the imbalances as well.
I'm starting to feel that could be the idea.
Yeah.
If it's sell and balance, just break down the 100. If it's a buy and balance, just go long.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And it's like sometimes you see it come out as a sell, and then it bids up. Sometimes you see it come out as a buy, and then it sells off. So it's like just interesting price action there off of the imbalances sometimes. But yeah, when it's like something outlier and crazy, yeah, definitely in the direction of the imbalances. That's what I've noticed as well here, Neil. So yeah, let's.
I just want to address something because someone just said you're positive in your first year. So I have never had to be a retail trader for a living. I started out trading on a prop floor here in 2003. I graduated in my third month, and I was positive going forward from that. Now, the advantage of trading on a prop floor is you've got a risk manager and a daily loss limit that you are accountable to all the time. And I think that gives you, like as a trader, when you're sitting at home, for all of you out there, the level of internal discipline that you have to have is much higher because you don't have a risk manager. You are your own risk manager. I had a risk manager. I had mentors. I had other traders to talk to on the floor. I had Sean, a friend of mine since high school, who had already been doing it successfully. So I had all of those things in my advantage. So you're never going to hear me brag about I was positive my first month. No, I had a lot of advantages. I traded on a great trading platform. I had so many things that worked out well for me to make it work for this long. That's one of the reasons I believe in paying it forward, was for that. And it's all really true. I did get made fun of by a couple of friends, and my girlfriend hated it at the time that I wouldn't move out, even though I could. And it was all true because I was very nervous that, well, what happens when I go into a slump? It was legitimate. Like, I was very nervous about going into a slump and like, what if I can't do this for a long time? So I just made sure that I tucked as much away as I could for that inevitability. So I just wanted to make sure, like, I don't like that notion of making people think that this is easy or anything like that, because it's not. And we say this all the time. Sean says it all the time, and it's true. Like, most traders are going to end up failing. I'm just looking up to see what Lumen is doing, because Lumen's creeping up to VWAP. But yeah, most traders are going to end up failing, and it's not an easy business. That's why this is free, because Real Trading, our #1 sponsor, and why we tout the campus program. Check that out, realtrading.com/campus. It's a free program where goals are aligned. The idea is on a prop floor to have profitable traders. And that means training them. That means going into a simulator, all of that good stuff. So impromptu, I might as well just point it out right now. Right now, you can actually join the Real Trading Campus program. They're still taking applications. You just have to be in Canada, and you got to be willing to put in the time and the effort. So you can check, I don't know, the QR code's not going to be there. You can click the link in the description. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in there. But just go to realtrading.com/campus. Everything that I went through as a trader at the beginning, that Obi went through and all of the other guys back here, essentially you're going to do. You're going to learn the market basis. If you already know them, there's going to be something in there you learn about. Do you know about all the different gateways? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you know all the different types of stop orders? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you know how the US markets work versus the Canadian markets? You're going to learn things like that. Then you're going to learn how to use the P Pro 8, which is a platform professionally that we have here. You go into TMS, great simulator. You're in there for a month with full training, one-on-one, every single day. You'll be trading in that simulator, learning how things work and developing strategies. Then you can go live. Get a real account, trade real money, but you've got to go through the process. All it takes is an application. If you get in, you put the time and effort in, and if you come out of it on the right side, which obviously not everybody will, you have a chance to be a funded trader. I'm not saying it's easy, but at least it's free, and your goals are aligned with the company that's backing you. That's the end of the day and what's most important. So unfortunately, it's not in the US. We get that a lot. Right now, that program is in Canada, hopefully expanding. With 5 minutes to go till the imbalances come, this 100 battle is the thing to watch. The early look on the imbalances was nothing but Lumen. Lumen now 1.2 million to sell. Lumen was 700,000 to sell. Now it's 1.2 million to sell, and it's going up anyways. So I'm going to be watching Nvidia and Lumen going into the close here 100%. And aftermarket, we've already talked about Robinhood. Robinhood being the aftermarket earnings. There's other ones. Maybe we can get the board up in a second, the earning board if we have it. But we'll be doing the aftermarket show, myself and Adara. We've got Chris Brecher as well, and we'll have Robinhood earnings. Speaking of Adara, let's go to her now.
Just be aware here of Top Golf Callaway Brands, MOGD. This one falling quite steeply to the downside. The news on this just coming out. They actually reported earnings from what it looks like just recently here. They did have a miss for their sales, 1.16 billion versus estimates of 1.19 billion. Though their EPS beat estimates, and it's also worth noting here, their forecast for their adjusted EPS for the next quarter here, 11 cents to 21 cents. Analysts were looking for a 31-cent estimate. So EPS expectation miss and sales miss for Q2, sending MODG to the downside, 10.4% short float, guys.
Damn.
That is not good.
That's going straight for the hole, that Callaway there. So 100 still holding as of right now, trading below 18 ones. Last 15 minutes of the day, man. Last 15 minutes of the day. Looking at that hourly chart on this ticker, and I'm like, what's the probability we break that open? at 99.70s and print red. We've only been printing red all day long on the hourly candle on Nvidia.
Leave the 8 ball.
Yes, I guess.
Can I get to a couple? We only have 4 minutes to the imbalances. I missed a couple of super chats here. Apologies for that. Sometimes, I get on a train of thought and I wanted to trade in Lumen that's just not setting up and there's a sell imbalance on it. William Addison, thank you. Willis Addison, sorry. Thank you for another super chat. They're still holding Indo at 241 into the weekend. Yep, energy play. It is what it is. I'm not going to say, we know betting on energy and things like Lockheed and defense names isn't always the most fun thing in the world. But at the end of the day, when it makes money, you're here to trade. So good luck to you there. And Anjan, after Novo Miss, thoughts on Eli Lilly? I don't know that I've changed my mind on Eli Lilly. Here, I'm going to go to the weekly chart because I think I gave these thoughts last time. Why is that a daily? Oh, it's because I changed this to a monthly. Yeah, let me just fix my charts and put this back on a weekly on Eli Lilly. So essentially, I just want to see, like, you've made the pullback. This is the area to be tested. So the $720 level, 710 to 720. If it can test out in there, if it bounces off it on a weekly basis, like we basically just broke the 800 this week. Like here, just broke down to test that. If we hold this and come back out above 800, I think we go back into the upward channel on Eli Lilly. If we don't do that and consolidate, maybe there's some scalping. If we lose here on the weekly, I think it would be reasonable that you come all the way down at $600. So I evaluate, it's only in my long term. I don't swing it or do anything else. So I'm not making any decisions till we get another weekly candle here, maybe even a couple on Eli Lilly. I hope that helps. 2 minutes.
2 minutes to go.
2 minutes to go. They just halted MODG and they've halted it news pending, which that's a little bit late, but do you? Clearly that's a little bit late. They've now halted. You just heard from Adara, so I'm not going to bother repeating, but MODG is now halted news pending. It's 3:48. This is almost certainly not going to open up until the aftermarket, and there's no way to know what time that might be. So MODG now halted news pending. 2 minutes to imbalances. We'll keep our eyes on Nvidia. Still a sell imbalance. Whoops, Nvidia's on the NASDAQ. Still a sell imbalance on Lumen here, down to about 1 million shares. So we'll see what that comes out as. Nvidia, Lumen, I feel like those are going to be the two things that might move when 350 hits.
Yeah, perhaps. Only about a minute and a half left here. And Nvidia is still chopping and churning around this 100 mark here. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's see if it kind of dumps below that 100 or we rip right back up. I have no idea. This imbalance is going to come in soon enough, Neil. So we shall be patient, wait and see what surprises this,
How is Lumen
this
going
has for us today. 126 is trading as of right now, still teetering underneath that 18.1. What is the ES doing? ES is just holding that 52.50 as well. Yeah, nothing too crazy. I'm just staring down this tape. A lot of noise, a lot of chop. Getting rocked, clip clop, drip drop. Am I long?
Drippity drop.
Got stopped. Go for a walk. Flip flops. Bars.
That was legit. That was that was legit. Wow. Man, I should have taken Lumen. But that was legit, Obi. Not messing around at all. 20 seconds till imbalances. I won't lie to you guys. Lumen broke out from VWAP here. And the reason I didn't like it was that 1 million sell imbalance. I'm like, well, you're going to punch long into something when we have this going on. So we're about to get the imbalances in just 3 seconds. I'm going to drop those for you guys live like we always do. Nvidia, 5.8 million to the sell. 5.8 million sell on Nvidia. SunPower is a sell because it's going to get deleted and delisted. Lumen has not come out. Where's Lumen? I haven't seen the imbalance update on Lumen. That's still the old one. So it's just Nvidia 6 million to the sell side. I don't know what it's doing right now, but Lumen's not moving. And then SPWR is an imbalance to the sell side. Oh, and I do, before we get back over here, let me just remind everybody, because we only have, I think you're running out of time here on stocks, and I haven't made my prediction. They're going on right now. and I'm not even logged in. So anyways, I'm going to log in. You guys check out stonks.com. You have still a little bit of time, 10 minutes to get your prediction on Robinhood earnings after the bell tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and log back into this and make my prediction, but I'm going to keep it secret this time because I've lost the last couple of times when I've given it to you live. So scan that QR code below, absolutely free, prize pool of 1,000, and you have a chance. All you got to do is sign up, claim your free guess, and then make a prediction, which I'm keeping closer to the vest because I feel like I'm telling you guys every single day what version of 42 and 69 I'm using. This time I'm going to make it a little bit more secret. And then if I win, I'm going to keep making it secret for you guys. So check out stonks.com for sure. Nvidia is not exactly cratering here to the downside, Obi. And Lumen, I still don't see an imbalance on Lumen, unfortunately. So I'm going to get away from that and go over to Nvidia. I mean, it fell off 100, but it didn't exactly fall apart under a 6 million sell imbalance on Nvidia there. And I did want to check out SunPower, because what are the chances? Yeah. Lower hanging fruit, maybe. Seller at 40, stock being delisted tomorrow, going bankrupt. Comes out sell imbalance when it was an early look and just drops. So you probably could have shorted 39.5 with a half a cent worth of risk to make 2.5. Just right there. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but that's actually 5 to 1. And that's why penny stocks sometimes have something in there for you. SunPower, as I said, going to be deleted tomorrow. Nvidia is still 6 million. I'm going to get up to the desk at 355, but I want to see what happens at 355, whether this pairs off on Nvidia. If it happens to pair, there could be a nice reversal trade for like a quick scalp.
Yes, sir. So so that those imbalances coming out, I did get stopped out of that Nvidia as it traded much below those 77. So yeah, that hourly candle on Nvidia printing a little bit of red, and you can see that 18th thou mark as well coming right in to the NASDAQ there. So got to keep eyes on some of these imbalances going into the close. Things could get a little bit spicy here, Neil.
Yeah, the overall market was 1.2 million to sell.
Yeah, so overall market was 1.2 million. Okay, wow, we're
Tesla
ripping
800,000
right back up to that 100 mark. Oh boy, all right, cool, that's fine. Next trade, that's what I'm thinking about right now. And yeah, let us know if you guys are trading anything into the close here today. Let us know what you guys are up to as some of these imbalances bring in some of that volatility that we've been talking about on the day and over the past couple of weeks as well, right, Neil?
And yeah, 100%. You never really know. That's not a huge move for 6 million sell on Nvidia. I guess you could have scalped 30 or 40 cents if you're fast enough. But there was a question, Willem asking, are there any earnings today? Robinhood, AppLovin, Hubs, BNBL, Bros is reporting as well. Occidental is reporting they're at like 415. So there are some earnings. I mean, Robinhood, maybe the sexiest trading name. I'd venture to say that SolarEdge is typically very volatile, and that could certainly be something. I haven't really looked at these guys in a while, but SolarEdge is a pretty volatile name. There you go. I mean, all the solar names have been hanging out at bottoms, trending in one direction. To your point about swinging short things, which I've already said I don't do, but I think these are the kind of things you were talking about, Obi. Like, how could you have possibly gone wrong if you were shorting something like this? But again, there's obviously more risk overnight shorting or swinging short than there is going long. We all understand that. So 20 seconds until we get 355, and we'll see what happens with this imbalance here on Nvidia. It's actually grown to 8 million. From 6 million to 7.8 million shares to sell here on Nvidia. If this pairs off, I don't know if anybody's even fast enough to punch long if it pairs off right here. 355 hits, and it's gone. Where is it? Don't see it. Don't see it. Did I get a fill? Wow, that was a slow fill. And it's not even going up. So it looks like it doesn't even want to go up. I'm just going to get out right away. I wanted to see it pair off and immediately jump to the upside. That's me. Ooh, I did get a fill here. Yeah, I think I actually made a couple cents before losing 15. But I said if it paired, I would take a shot on it, and it's still heading to the downside. It paired off, and now we're looking at, I think it was 900,000 to sell. So it went from 7.8 million to 900,000, and it didn't even bounce. Absolutely tanking here is the market into the lows, 18,000. Took a shot at, wanted to see that reverse, didn't work out, but that's a very quick trade. Very, very quick trade. Sometimes you get a quick buck on it. They're bleeding on the NASDAQ. You know what we should have stuck with, Obi? I'm going to the desk right now, I promise.
Yep.
Intel's at 19 bucks. Enough said. I'm going to the desk. I'll see you guys in the aftermarket show. We got Adara, myself. We got Chris Brecher. We've got Robinhood earnings. We've got SolarEdge earnings. We've got Bros, Dutch Brothers as well. That'll be at 4:05. So a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to get myself ready for that. And the Magic 8 Ball, unfortunately, is 0 for 1.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems like we're going to be trading a little bit below 100 here, Neil. We got all the way to those 98 70s, man. So absolutely crazy there. So yeah, 8 Ball. Maybe not the. You know what? Sample size is just 1. I'm not going to make any hard conclusions just yet here. But you know, something to keep an eye on. 18th thou. We are trading below this 18th thou as of right now. So yeah, we sold off. We're pretty red on the day. So that selling is coming potentially coming right back in to the markets here as we trade a little bit lower. So you know, I got my eyes on a few things coming in the coming days here. But a lot of earnings. We're still well within earnings season, right? So you got to keep an eye on that as well. So let me know in the chat what you guys are looking forward to. There's a lot of spicy earnings coming up, and I think that Nvidia also kind of announced that they're going to be reporting earnings. I think August 28th or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see what happens there. With Nvidia earnings, we've been selling off quite a bit. 141 highs on Nvidia, and yeah, so we've been kind of aggressively sold off back down to 100, over 40% to the downside, right? So that is definitely an interesting thing to be watching over time. So yeah, I'm reading in the chat what you guys are talking about as of right now. I'm just going to be watching some of these imbalances going into the close here. 99 still holding on the Nvidia, so it should be a little interesting there as we come to a close. Only about a minute and a half left here to kind of close, so we shall see what happens. Okay, I thought I froze for a second there. But yeah, no, things are moving. 99's holding on the Nvidia here. Only about a minute left to go. Let's see what happens here with that 99. Let's see where the DAC is coming down to. 17,960 as of right now. So we have sold off over 600 points now, guys. So absolutely wild there. Only about a minute left to go. Let's see if we can get a little spicy into the close. So 18,000. Okay, we're trading back at that 9. So you know what? Maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow we get to experience what that 100 might be looking like as well, right? So we shall see. We shall see. I'm reading the chat here. A lot of people trading that Lumen, right? So let's take a quick look at that Lumen. What Lumen has been up to. Take a look at the VIX as well, man. VIX absolutely crazy. The reversion that we've been having on the VIX. Kind of pulling back in off of that 65. Absolutely crazy here. Only about 20 seconds left to go. What do we got here? Market continues to flush in these last few seconds. Absolutely wild. 15 seconds left. Let's see what Nvidia prints going into the close here. We were talking about 100. Can we get that snap back up? Let's go. Snap back up to that 100. Can we? No, we're still trading below 99. So let's go. Nice little hold there of below 99s. It is what it is. And let's see what I got. Okay, cool. You know what? Nothing too crazy here on the day. I'm a little bit flustered there. I was watching a few of these imbalances going to the close. I do apologize, but yeah, I see a lot of people. Adrian talking about next step is oil. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you very much. The bell was on there. And yeah, so Ring It says Professor Bell Picky Eater was saying, yeah, no, I got a little bit distracted with some of this price action coming in to the close. I did forget the countdown a little bit. Yes, you know what? The bell has rung, but it's not the last bell that'll be ringing. Tomorrow we will see you guys. I think they are ready for us at the desk. See you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you guys had a great day there. Neil and Adara with the market recap. Don't go anywhere, guys. See ya.
Oh yeah, welcome to the market recap show. We've got an interesting one here today. We've got a bunch of earnings that we're going to be able to get to. We've also got Chris Brecher that's going to be popping on through. Shout out to everybody that printed, but I have a feeling Robinhood's already going. We weren't expecting it till 4:05.
We were not.
But I've got Robinhood already at $17.70. So it was at $17, and it just popped into the 60s and 70s here. So there's movement. This could be an SMCI situation. Remember SMCI tanked last night early. The numbers weren't even out. Then it broke out. Then it got destroyed today. So Robinhood is moving already, although I don't think we have the numbers just yet. Daryl will get them to you. When we have them, we're expecting Robinhood. I think we got AppLovin. I know we've got SolarEdge. Bros as well going to be reporting. So there's a lot of things to get to. Robinhood on the move.
Yeah, Robinhood, we're just waiting on those earnings. Also, guys, just to clarify, I put this in the chat briefly as well, but it looks like that news pending halt for MODG or Topgolf Callaway was just them putting the earnings that had already been reported out.
Yes.
So it was the official release of these earnings we'd already had reported by Bloomberg. Benzinga had it as well. Reuters had some of them, but just to go over those earnings, I said that the part I already said here was they missed on sales, they beat on earnings per share. The dicier issue here is going to be their guidance. They're seeing Q3 revenue from $970 million to $990 million. Analysts were looking for $1.14 billion in revenue for their guidance there for Q3. Their EPS, their full year revenue also, they're seeing $4.2 billion to $4.26 billion. Analysts were looking for guidance of $4.545 billion. So yeah, basically they had that moment there we had the halt for news. It was just them releasing those earnings that had already been reported. They also said they're doing a strategic review. So we'll have to see how that goes. That was just to clarify what we got there for MODG. Waiting on Hood, waiting on all these other ones, guys.
True story here for everybody. This happened maybe 2 years ago. A firm in the middle of the day had their earnings, which were expected after market, released early. It was like 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They leaked. The stock absolutely tanked. It wasn't dissimilar to what we see here on Topgolf Callaway, like this chart here, where the earnings came out as expected, or it came out early unexpectedly. And no word of a lie, when it happened on a firm, I had been short at the time and had been stopped out 2 minutes before. And then they dropped the earnings and it made a move like that. It does happen every now and then. It was bad luck for me. You're really still seeing movement from Robinhood to the upside. Like it's holding some of these bids up here. 1740 just held, 1750 starting to hold. So the numbers aren't out yet. I don't know what's going on. Warner Brothers, okay, so we have Warner Brothers at least. WBD, not Weibo. WBD is already out and obviously not very good.
Yeah, this is going to be a Q2 revenue miss, $9.7 billion. Analysts were looking for $10.07 billion. So that is going to be a miss for revenue, though they did apparently increase their global subscribers. So they had 103.3 million into Q2, so that was an increase of 3.6 million subscribers versus Q1. So they crossed that 100 million subscriber mark, I guess is the main thing there. They also did report a Q2 loss per share here of $4.07. Not sure how this compares to the estimate, but the estimate was a 22-cent loss. So Warner Brothers discovering downside with that report.
Discovering a 52-week low at $7 is what it's doing right now. So this would be the last line in the sand for you, Warner Brothers. But again, dying business, so it is what it is. But $7 now trying to hold down 6% here is Warner Brothers. I'll pop it back to the intraday. Yeah, it's just holding the even dollar. That's about as good as it can do. Robinhood is now making a different move. This is the exact same thing is we had happen with SMCI. The initial move was down, then it popped up on SMCI. Initial move up early, and then Robinhood takes out the low, broke $17. It was all the way up as high as $18, and now flushing underneath that support. Just don't trade it until the earnings come out. don't know what to say. So let's see what it holds on to here. What are these numbers, Dara?
These numbers here, Q2 revenue beat nicely. 682 million versus estimates of 643.3 million. EPS also a beat, 21 cents per share versus the estimate of 15 cents per share. They beat as well for their Q2 adjusted EBITDA, and they said their assets under custody increased by a whopping 57% on a year-over-year basis for the quarter. They also had quarter-end net deposits at $13.2 billion. So I'm not seeing any bad numbers yet, but I'm still seeing all the numbers roll in here for HOOD. I was seeing someone asking about bros as well, so take a look at Dutch bros.
They're tanking right now.
God.
Robinhood's barely moving. It's right back to where it was when we closed effectively, but Dutch Brothers is just down 11% already here. If you pop this one up, we showed where Warner Brothers were from a relative sense. Bros is at least holding an upward trend at this point. So the 200 period sits at 32. It's chilling at 33 right now. It's lost recent support, just barely underneath 34. So double-digit loss here currently for Dutch Brothers. They are already out. SolarEdge is also clearly making some moves here. Now, this is a very different looking chart than most of the others. And SolarEdge dropped 10%, it looks like, and then bounced. So we were as low as $21 on SolarEdge, now back up to 23.5. But initially the move down here in SolarEdge, Dutch Brothers tanked to the downside. Adara, what do we have for both of these?
I'll start here with SolarEdge. SolarEdge did a little bit of a Rivian, and by that I mean they beat on revenue and had a larger than expected loss per share. For revenue here, Q2 revenue coming in at $265.4 million versus estimates of $262.3 million. That would be a beat. Now we get loss per share here. That's an adjusted adjusted loss per share of $1.79. Analysts were looking for a loss of $1.58 per share. So that's going to be larger than expected. Dutch Bros, I did look through those numbers. They generally seemed positive. So let's see if we got any more coming out here. We did have here Q2 revenue coming in at $324.918 million versus estimates of $317.1 million. That's a beat. They also beat here, it looks like, for their pre-tax profit above expectations. Q2 income also slightly above expectations. I'm going to see how their guidance compared to what analysts were looking for, because that could be what's moving us down here for BROS. I'm not seeing the expectations yet for their guidance, but they're seeing fiscal year adjusted EBITDA 200 million to 210 million, and fiscal CapEx they're seeing here 270 million to 290 million. If I see any other numbers, I'll let you guys know.
Yikes. Still at the low, that now 13% down for Dutch Brothers, and still continuing to the downside. It doesn't matter what we think of when you read the earnings out there, your initial impression. It's what is the stock doing at that moment, because I can tell you SolarEdge did a ridiculous reversal just now. It was down in the 20s, low 20s, 21 specifically. It then went back above 24. It hit as high as $25.50. So you've got $4.50 worth of range right now in SolarEdge, and I think we just got Hubs just reported, and wow, they are to the upside, 12%, and still going is Hubs, crossing through the $500 threshold here at Dara. I do believe they like what they see with Hubs.
Yeah, I understand these. Why? Because these numbers are pretty solid here. Q2 revenue, $637.23 million versus estimates of $619.4 million. Nice little beat there. For EPS, also a beat, $1.94 per share. Analysts were looking for $1.64, so they beat by 30 cents for earnings per share here as well. Guidance also not bad here. Q3 adjusted earnings per share, they're seeing $1.89 to $1.91. Analysts are looking for $1.89, so that's largely above expectations. They're also seeing Q3 revenue between 646 and 647 million. Analysts were looking for 646.7 million. So at the very least, that's in line with estimates there for HUBS.
And Hubs currently 11.5%, now 10.5%. That was the expectation. Actually, 10.5% was the expected move. So if it holds above about right here, $497, above that price, and you've beaten the expectation in terms of a move. SolarEdge was supposed to be a big move, like 16% is what was expected on SolarEdge. And it's just, it's now right back into the downside. So it got that far down, and now trying a bit of a bounce. I just want to double check on Robinhood. Occidental's not till 4:15, so I'm sure we'll be talking with Chris at that point. They're going to report in about 5 minutes as Occidental. They're the last big one. Robinhood's right back. It's holding the range. So it's, we'll call it, you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled. All those things have happened here in Robinhood, is going back and forth with no definite direction on the old hood. Do we have something else out?
We have Bumble. Yeah, I mean, I don't know but Bumble is a pretty big move here. So Q2 earnings per share, they beat 22 cents at adjusted earnings per share versus estimates of 13 cents. Sales were a miss, 269 million versus estimates here of 273.12 million. The biggest issue, though, here seems to be their guidance from what I'm reading here. So Q3 revenue, they're seeing 269 million to 275 million. Analysts were looking for 273 million. Also here, they're only seeing fiscal revenue growth of 1 to 2% and Bumble app revenue growth between 1.5 to 2.5%. So slower than expected growth. That's what I am seeing here as the reason for this larger move down.
I don't think this one's going to make it. 28. There's always, I feel like every night there was the first night that we didn't have something that was just like, you had down moves, but I felt like we were going to get through an earnings after show without something that looked like abject disaster. And that's what we're going to see here right now. Bumble's down 25%. I don't know what else to tell you. We obviously had the daily chart already up there when we were describing some of those numbers. And before we head to Trade Talk to get a smile on our faces from Chris and stop looking at charts like this, I just want to point out, Fabian just said it, and I heard him say it, what's left? I mean, it's going to go down far enough that someone wants to pick up the pieces, is my guess. Here on Bumble. What else do we have?
We got Beyond Meat here, just in case people are looking at that one.
Well, that would make things better.
Larger than expected loss per share, 53 cents versus estimates of a 51-cent loss per share. And then also for revenue, that was a beat, though, 93.2 million versus estimates of 87.8 million. So EPS miss, revenue beat for BYND.
It's up. Beyond Meat is up 20%. It's a $6 stock. So good for you, Beyond Meat. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get excited about something. It's got a 39% short float. So obviously shorts need reasons to cover because they've been winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. I'm just zooming the chart back out until I saw something where they weren't winning, which is all the way back into 2020. So there you go. That's the chart of Beyond Meat. So let's celebrate the small victories because that's pretty much all you've had in Beyond Meat is some small victories long, unless you were a short seller, in which case you short every pop and you've been making oodles and oodles of money. So Beyond Meat up 15% for now. Let's see how it goes. But I know a guest that we're all eager to hear from, one of our favorites here on the show. We've got Mr. I never called him Mr. before. We've got Chris Brecher, everybody. Welcome, Chris. There, hey. Mr. Bro. What? I'm not calling you Mr. We're friends now. What about you?
No, you don't. Your Highness. That's a better one. So,
you win.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I've been called a lot of things. So especially when we messed up an Apple earlier today, we ended up doing really well. But yeah, I've heard them all. So in there. So I wanted to, when I talked to you about the email, it actually worked, but I thought I'd show you something first because I know you and I have talked about it before, about that last 10 minutes of the lack of buybacks in the markets and what can happen. And so companies can buy back stock up to 10 minutes before the close. And you saw like there was news about possible Iran, geopolitical stuff that came out at 3:45 Eastern and the market shrugged it off. Right when companies couldn't buy back stock, the S&P got trashed right here. And I'm talking about the cash itself. So it went from here to here in like 5-10 minutes. So pretty cool to see the lack of buybacks, what can happen. So we did not do the XSP or the SPX. We shorted Apple. So we did fine in there, shorting it in this area and buying it in here on the close. So we were out of Apple, but I just want to tell you that lack of buybacks. I'll just show you. So you take the biggest buyback companies. So you can take Meta. That did it at 1550 as well. How about Lam Research? That did it at 1550. It's just incredible of these companies that have big buybacks, and all day they held up until the very close.
And I think one of the things, and we talk about this when we show the imbalances a lot of times, and everyone can understand, like at 350, you're also going to get a bunch of net order imbalances. And when you see them, we've seen a lot of big cap tech net order sell imbalances at that same moment, which is going to exacerbate that same effect that you mentioned there. But today, just for an example, like I like that idea because you put it on, you take it off. Today, Apple was actually looking very good at the open. So you get those big curls. Oddly enough, like you just had to pick your spot. Like it was a 350 trade, but most of the session it was holding on to strength. Apple has been doing this now 3 days in a row off of higher lows. It goes up, catches a crest, and it's basically the same crest, which I'm just going to point out to you here on the 15-minute. And then we get the late dump, and you catch a bid, late dump, catch a bid, late dump. At some point, it's got to break out the top, no, Chris?
Well, it seems like the correlated indexes, if they're breaking down, then Apple's more likely to break down. But I'll show you something. I don't know if you call this the slime ball trade or what, but I want to show you this with Apple. A lot of times we call it the slime ball trade because people get tipped off before it happens. That's what we called it when we were on the floor. But I want to show you this in Apple because you're right. All day it held great. Except watch what happened right before the opening. Right before the opening, look where it was, 206.5. It was even lower down here, pre-opening. It just wouldn't rally, even though the markets were rallying. And the minute that they could buy back stock, it acted better than the broad market. It's amazing. And then what happens is the rest of the day, people are starting to get nervous about lack of buybacks in the last 10 minutes. At least that's what's been happening. So definitely that the pre-opening doesn't mean where it's going to be an hour later. And so I made a mistake on that in the opening, but then we scrambled and played it on the short side.
Right.
Not here. No, I mean, and here we were stubborn. But then we started to see the channel breaks right here and the trend line breaks. But the bigger deal and when we knew we'd be right is a couple of things, and I know I mentioned this to you earlier, is when Apple was doing that, and Apple was having those big old rallies, every day I know it changes, but every day we have different tells. So I learned that on the floor and all that a lot of people, if you looked at pictures of the floor from back then, they were reading the paper and stuff. I was always obsessed looking for correlations. And this is the correlation that worked today. So the correlation that worked today was that when Apple was rallying, the VIX, the VXX, the ETN, was actually forming a bull flag. So when that formed the bull flag, that to me was a tip-off that the overall markets were probably going to sell off. So whether it was Apple or not, Apple's a little rough because of the buybacks. But on the left, if you put the SPX, look at this right here. It's pretty exciting. So number one, it went up to resistance. Number two is the Russell has been a tell, and the Russell was falling apart. But this is where it gets exciting. So here's the S&P on the left up here, all the way up in this area. So luckily in the room, I posted that bear flag. So believe it or not, this bull flag was before this bear flag broke. So when this broke on the right to the upside, you had more than enough chance to short that. Yeah. That also worked yesterday on the close. So you had the VIX yesterday, believe it or not, the same darn thing right before the close. Bull flag. And when this rallied right here, that little rally right here, this wouldn't go down. So it actually formed a bull flag. So when this broke up, this got destroyed. So I love watching these correlations.
And it's not always that you see them. To be candid, I usually have like UVXY because we have it on our P4A platform. I can look at on other platforms, I can look at VXX as well. Essentially, effectively same charts. But Obi and I on the show were looking at the VIX today as well. And I remember that there was a moment where it flipped. And when that happened, I went from looking at some long plays early in the morning, like he had so many things that were actually trending, but I flipped, and it was mostly semis that I was trading today. So I famously got out of an Intel short and then didn't get back into it. That's another story. But shorted ARM in that moment that was really good. Suffice to say, I picked the top on Intel and covered it all at $20, and then basically just held 20, broke underneath it, and gave you the easiest consolidation at $19.99, and that I missed getting back into. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I flipped short on a bunch of things as well around that same time, and we've just been using the VIX. To your point, which has been a very, very good indicator. At least sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. I find you always want to be there when it starts to matter again, you use it. When it stops mattering, then you're not going to be on it. And it's the same thing with the USD used dollar strength. Sometimes it matters more than others. And it doesn't, you just have to find what's going to be there. There are times in NASDAQ I've found Bitcoin takes a key level, and then maybe we see a bit of a rollover in other risk assets. It's just whatever happens to work, Chris.
Well, you were right that when Bitcoin started going down today, so did the semis.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, they've been correlating pretty well. The other is, I don't look at the VIX all the time whatsoever. And the VIX is designed to go down that VXX or the UVXY. UVXY was $1 trillion 5 years ago. That's how much it has slippage. That's why I like using the VXX, because it should go down on a day when it's just waffling the market, waffles. So if it goes up, that's a big warning sign. That's why I like using that instead of VIX, because it should go down. So if all of a sudden it has a bull flag, that's a big warning sign. But I just started using it in the last week because it's had such an explosion. So I figured that would be a good intraday tell. But the other tells are definitely what I was mentioning earlier. And I was showing this, pretty proud of this, because I showed these before the open and also on StockTwits, that similar charts have similar outcomes. So we were posting these bear flags. And when the Russell broke its bear flag, and this was still all the way up here, that was a huge tell that the markets were going to get hit. And they all did the same exact thing by the end of the day. In fact, not just that, they all went to fill that little gap here. So I'll go and take the NASDAQ on the right. There it goes. Filled the gap, bear flag. So YM filled the gap, bear flag. It's amazing. So now what I'm watching is if the Russell undercuts right here, right there, that little thingy right there, I call it a twerk when you have that reversal candle. If it violates right here, which was 9 o'clock yesterday morning, and violates it decisively, then I have to think the ES on the left is going to violate it decisively. It's close. I mean, what happened was the Russell was here. The ES was only down 14, so it eventually snapped back into line.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to that is I'd be very careful, and we're talking about this with another guest, if there's a liquidity grab underneath that support. Because I think we're all looking at that support. So then sometimes, like the first time it goes, little liquidity grab underneath and it might pop, but eventually, if you kind of stick with it, if it holds underneath there, all you know what can always break loose. And again, I love the fact that you're pointing out multiple places where you can express the same idea. Adara trades IWM. I know I don't really, I like to look at it. I like to have it as a reference sometimes like you do. I know I don't trade it, but our viewers out here, hey, look, if you like, it doesn't matter what you like trading, you can probably find the correlation somewhere, whether it's SPY, whether you like the IWM. Chris, before we get you out of here, any final ideas? I know we're wrapping up. We're not really wrapping up earnings season until you get Nvidia. You're not wrapping up anything, but we're starting to have smaller names reporting. We've got most of the big names. You've had the Fed come through. You've had some data in the market that spooked some people. You have what's going on with the USD Japan. We're starting to get a bit of a piece of the puzzle as to what the back half of the year is going to look like. What's your outlook going into at least the next couple of weeks in a general sense?
Number one, and it's already happened basically, is look at the S&P on the left. At least I'm not telling you what to do. I mean, I'm looking at the S&P on the left, and on the right, I'll look at Schwab. What I saw in Schwab, and we could put it on a 4-hour chart, is that Schwab got nailed, then came back to a resistance area, and then tested the low. And so that's to me is sort of like the S&P. It needs to test the low. But the one thing I thought I'd mention to you, because so many are talking about it, is a CNN Fear and Greed Index, and that it's extreme fear. And to me, the extreme fear doesn't matter yet, and I'll show you why. Last September, there was extreme fear, and believe it or not, you can chart it. So when it broke out, so the extreme fear went away, not the first twerk in here, because that for 6 weeks, you would have lost money on the long side. So when it broke up, that was actually a bottom in the S&P. Right here was a top in the S&P. Right here was a top in the S&P. So you can actually chart that that CNN Fear and Greed, which means right now when it's down in the greed, extreme fear, it can stay there longer than you ever imagined.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Chris. That's why we bring you on the show, sir. I don't know. Well, I'm going to make up some different things to say. I'm not going to say Mr. ever again, Chris, but fantastic friend of the show. Great insights as always. Best of luck in your trading. This is Chris Brecher from Simpler Trading. Everybody, make sure you take notes every time he's on. We always get some absolute gems. I want to thank you very much there, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Chris.
That's literally twice as loud. That music, I don't know if it is for you, but it's like twice as loud as it normally is there. So hopefully you enjoy it. Thank you so much to Chris. We did have Occidental come out and not really move around a lot there. Adara, thank you so much, Adara, for putting that in the chat. She's put the numbers in.
Chat, guys.
It's only like Oxy's not moving. If it was a little bit more exciting, we'd say, but it went like $1 up on a $50 stock and it's coming right back in. So not a heck of a lot there. Well, obviously was not good. It was good for Beyond Meat. It wasn't that good for Dutch Bros. Bit of a mixed bag for Robinhood as well. So an interesting day. But the earnings names outside of a few clunkers, not that exciting. HubSpot was pretty good. They're looking pretty strong, at least. But you guys know what time we got to get into. I wanted to leave a bit of a time for it, but in time for something else, if you could. I wanted to save it to the end. And the reason I'm doing this at the end of the show is because my daughter wanted me to do this. And she always says, she gets shy. She's like, well, can I show things? Can I not show things? She got her baseball cards for baseball, which I'm coaching this year. And she's like, can you please show on the show my card? I want everybody to see it. And so this is my daughter, Erin. On the back, it says position catcher, age 7. She wears the number 15. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but I got a bunch. I'll show you guys on the live show maybe a little bit better and take a photo of it and post it. But I wanted to make sure it was at a time where she knows where to find it when I rewatch it, which at the end of the show is a lot easier than if I just throw it into the middle for you guys. So with that, I know she's my girl. She'll always be my baby girl, even though she's growing up so fast. But that was for you. I love you, sweetheart. Daddy's always gonna love you, and I know she's gonna watch this in this moment, so I promised I would do it. And now we're gonna get the roll call, so she's gonna get to watch an Adara roll call, because to watch that, she's gonna have to sit through the most exciting 2 minutes in all of YouTube, which is when you drop your names into the chat and Adara reads them all out, rapid fire, drop them bars, Adara.
You might be overselling it a little bit, but thank you very much to Neil. I want to shout Neil out for just everything you do there. Shout out to Fabian as well. Shout out to Bears versus Bulls as well for just killing it every single day. Let's get started with this roll call, though. We got Bears versus Bulls. We have Adrian, Oscarito, ACK, Farm Trader, TH, Stacks, Michelle Meir, Name the Game, Bert66, Bristol, BGZ, Neo Roberts, Sunny Shiba, James D, Mahish Walktins, Big Spal Burdette, Ron on 20s, Paradox, Michelle C, Mike Breeze, Marie L, Caputi Electronic Music. We've got Mark L. We have Neil Roberts as well. Bright Awakening, Eli. We got Rob Jenkins. We got Travel Buddy. Shout out as well to Chris Brecher, James D, Sebastian. We got Zom Tachi. We've got Mr. Ian. Wow, the names are pouring. Broderick Johnson, Picky Eater. Northwestern Company Development, Bristol, Dino, Adam Khalifa. We've got Georgios Nakis. We have Rise and Shine. We got Logan's Pops. We got L Stam. We have Paradox as well. Mogi Bear. I like that one. And Life Changing Journey. I think that's a great name to end on, guys. Thank you so much for being here every single day, for putting your names in the chat for me to speed read through for reasons.
Well done, Adara, and you know how it works. It's only hump day. That means we got 2 more for you. We'll be right back at it at Trader TV Live, 8:30 in the morning. You saw all the earnings. We're going to be trading them tomorrow. Hood, HubSpot, maybe not them, maybe some Beyond Meat, definitely some Nvidia and all those movers. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to Obi for sipping in there. For Sean, Thank you, of course, to Brendan and to Fabian on the ones and twos, who's been doing it all day long by his lonesome. Fantastic job. But you know what's up? Not always the markets, but certainly it moves, and we'll trade it tomorrow at 8:30. Bye, guys.